Welcome back, everybody. Hope you've been having a great couple weeks. Apologize for not being with you guys last week. We had a bit of a guys' weekend. I got a group of friends that we only see each other for sure about once a year. We see each other kind of occasionally since then. Anyway, regardless, those two words are basically the same. I used irregardless once in a video and came up in the comments, so I looked it up in Webster's dictionary. Basically the same as regardless. So now you know. That's our learning moment for the day, maybe. So the purpose of today's live Q&A, if you've read the description, you already know. We're going to chat with Caleb Roth about the Stand Still University coming up next month. It's going to be a whirlwind. And as always, it's free. Without further ado, let's bring up Caleb.
Good morning,
how are you?
Doing great.
How are you, sir?
Hey, fantastic. Glad to be here inside where it's not 20 degrees. And,
you're not kidding. It got cold there for a few days.
Hey, it's cold right now here at our place.
I felt bad. Well, it's 30 here, so we're in a warming trend.
Yeah, my thing was I got back from California and was out at Rubens. Back, it snowed the next day, and then immediately left to Florida, and then just got back from Florida. It was 70 down there.
So I need to start following your example. So I actually just got back from Wyoming. You're going south where it's warm, and I headed north where it's typically warm.
Yeah, see, you flip it. You go north in the summer and then south in the winter. Yeah.
Is that the way that works? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I just do what the birds do, man.
Backwards as usual.
That's the way it goes.
How are you, Caleb? How is Staying Still experts?
Man, it's great. We're doing well. Trying to get all of our preparations ready for the new season. In the wintertime, we change things, we pull on the levers and check the switches and bring on new things. And it's an exciting time of year to do it. And now's go time,
That's right. Yeah. We were chatting about that before we went live, in that, once the season gets going, you don't touch the machine. You just let it run. Right. But then in the off season, you're like, I think I might tinker with things. I think I might break it a little bit and tear it apart and make it better.
You got to do it, man. That's what it goes.
But the thing is, the season for us really hasn't, on the fencing side, really hasn't slowed down. It's
still moving, and it's pretty much weather dependent. We're the same way.
Yeah. The winter, I mean, and you guys have pretty similar climate to us here in Missouri. The winter's been pretty good to us so far. We've been just marching right through it. Now we had a snow day 2 weeks ago, maybe, and it got cold. Don't get me wrong, but overall for December and January, we've been pretty blessed, I think.
Yeah, December was a really good month for staining, and January's been a little cold and wet, but we'll get through it.
And we'll see what February has in store for us.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry, Joe. Couldn't mute it fast enough.
That's okay. That's all right. So the Free Standing University is coming up next month, and there's an exciting change to it. Is that right?
Yeah, February 24th, 25th, and 26th. If the one we just did in Florida is any indication of what Nashville is going to be, it's going to be huge with 2 U's, I think. It's going to be a big thing. And it's 24th, 25th, 26th. We're going to do things a little different this year. We're going to have one of the biggest problems we found in past is not enough time to really focus, and not small enough groups to get in there tight. So we're going to do sort of rotational trainings in smaller groups. And then we're going to have some time where if you just came for one training, you don't have to go to all of them. We're going to have a chunk of time that's free time, so you can go around and spend it where you want to spend it. And then, of course, all the same old stuff. We're going to build fence. We're going to stain fence. We're going to stain decks, clean decks, talk about wood, talk about business growth and marketing. On the third day, though, we've got Ron Musgraves, who's probably given back more to the power wash industry than anybody, to come in. And they're bringing a lot of power washing vendors in and doing a lot of education on power washing, because I know a lot of guys that power wash, stain fences and decks, and just made sense to kind of mesh us fence builders, fence stainers, and fence cleaners together.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense to, Standing University to branch out into fence, because fence guys usually get asked about if they can stain the fence, but it also is a natural progression to include the power washing community, because they get asked the same questions, I'm sure, hey, while you guys are here, could you also clean and stain the fence? You just did a great job on my house or driveway, what have you. Could you go ahead and do that for the fence?
Yeah, we see a lot of guys doing that, and it sounds like probably next year we're going to change the name of this thing, maybe to Professional Wood Care Expo or something. I
Okay.
don't know, but
Yeah.
it's evolving, and you'll probably be a part of that. So
I would love to. I always have such a great time coming to your event. It's not to say anything about other events, but the people that show up to this event are genuinely good people. I have a really good time just meeting everyone that shows up.
Yep.
So we're adding a third day. That's you. I feel like you just skimmed right over that one.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we're doing
typically Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, food trucks this year, which is going to make it a little different. So you can eat or you can skip lunch. So we're not going to have to shut down for food. We're going to start a little later. So instead of going 7 to 5 for 2 days, we're going to go 9 to 4 for 3 days. Third day may be a little short, but just want to make it more convenient for people to get in, slow down, get there, enjoy themselves, and have a good time. So.
Well, and I like the time change because it allows for more just networking, right? Just contractor to contractor conversations to happen, because you and I have talked about this extensively, in that I think that's where a ton of value is found, in just the contractors talking to other contractors in different trades.
Yeah.
Like we're getting 3 different trades together that have some overlap, and just letting them kind of talk about what works and doesn't work for them.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about bringing the 3 trades together is you're bringing 3 industries that have a lot of experience. There's going to be some guys there with a lot of experience, and when we can share those things that we're doing in different industries together, we'll all grow.
Absolutely. You and I were at Ron's event, Young Guns in Atlanta, and I tell you what, it's funny. These groups of people are all pretty similar, right? Hardworking, salt to the earth guys and gals. So I'm excited to see the group that comes with Ron. Just really takes our group and grows it. Still same great people, just a larger community.
Yeah, and we're expecting at the one we just did in Florida, we had around 450 attendees. We had 200 last year at ours, so we're expecting 500 plus at this one. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's incredible. I tell you what, Caleb, let's kind of pause and say hi to everyone. I see the chat's kind of getting out of control. Not out of control, but in a good way, right? We've got a lot of people saying hello, and I love
it, man. The channel's growing.
I love that so much. Project Metal Music is always here and always says hello. Hello to the UK.
Good morning.
Dan Hale's here from Florida. Good morning, Dan. Actually, yep, still morning there. Fence me in. Hello from Minnesota. Very good to see you. Another UK fellow, I guess. UK, yeah. Professional from the UK, David White. Caleb, have you seen their channel, D&J Projects, there in the UK?
Yeah, I've seen them on your channel before.
I cannot promote these guys enough. Great content.
When they're ready to stain a fence, let's do it, man.
Hey,
we'll send some stain over to them. I want to do it, man. We've got a lot of connections.
I like that idea a lot. You and I watched a video. Gosh, it's been probably a year ago now. You sent it over to me, guys. It was a stain trailer, right, where they just dip it in the trailer. Unreal.
Yeah, they take the panels out and dip them over there. That's pretty neat.
Incredible. Hello, David. Yeah, if you guys don't watch D&J Projects, you should definitely check them out. I enjoy watching. Actually, so I've been gone basically a week and a half. So I was behind. So last night was my D&J catch-up night. After the kids went to bed, I just settled in, started getting caught up on what's going on over there. All right. Jacob is here from Bastrop Beach, Texas. Welcome, Jacob. Uh-oh. Wife's here. Jackson says hi. Hello, Jackson.
You better tighten up.
Uh-oh. Yeah, boss is here. Michael says hello from Michigan's Great White North. I bet that's true. That's true. Big snow band went across the north recently. So I was up there in Wyoming, and it was 50 degrees when I showed up. I was like, guys, and there's no snow. There's snow up in the mountains, but no snow. Like, this is not the Wyoming I've been told about. You guys are fooling people here because people think it's cold here. And then the next day it snowed, and it was like 6 degrees. So, there's Wyoming. Caserk Distributors. Good morning, Joe and Caleb. Watching from Philly.
Good
Hello.
morning.
I actually saw your email right as I was starting to set all this stuff up. So I will reply forthwith. It's a good word for you. Jonathan. Hello, Joe and Caleb from Northeast Ohio. Hello.
Good morning.
OHIO. I watched the Pat McAfee show, and he's big on AJ's big on Ohio there. Joe and Caleb, what is up, y'all? Hello, Justin.
Good morning.
Uh-oh. Caleb, kids are saying hi, Caleb.
Good morning, kids.
She said kids. So now Josie's one. If she's saying hi, Caleb, I
Well,
missed
Joe,
something since I left the house.
Can't help that, man. Can't help that.
She's on a daddy kick. She's just daddying everywhere. So I do like that. Roger says, howdy, fence fam. Hello, Roger. Here's a question for you, Caleb. Caleb, does the Chattahoochee store sell anything good for sealing my trailer from chemicals? Just wondering.
Yeah, yes and no. They sell all our oil-based stains and sealers, but oil is probably not the best chemical. It's not going to stand up to chemical attack like some other products might. So power wash guys, those guys are the kings for that. So you might check out the Power Washer, the Pressure Washing Friends Facebook group, because they use a lot of chemicals and they get a lot of trailers.
There you go. There you go. Ramona High wants to know, do you have any events coming to California?
Joe, do we have any events coming to California?
I hope so.
Man,
I really do.
Should. So I just got back from Northern California, the Bay Area. I don't know why that's northern, because it's right in the middle of the state.
Kind of in central California.
Yeah, I just got back from Livermore, where Ruben's operation is, and yeah, we did a bunch of sales training for wood care, but we've got to do some hands-on stuff, and I know we could do it there, or we could do it at one of the fence factory locations in Southern California. We need to seriously have a talk about that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. We should definitely do it.
I agree. And there's bound to be a lot of folks over on the West Coast that just can't make it to kind of the Midwest or any of the other trainings. I think a West training, I like that idea a lot.
Well, in Florida, this last week, we had a guy from Northern California. He's a fence builder. He came to a power wash show in Florida to learn cleaning and staining wood fences. So there's definitely guys there that are interested in it.
Absolutely. So we're kind of debating right now, though. There's a show out in San Diego, Social Media Marketing World. We've got tickets to go. The testing criteria is a bit strict in California at the moment for group gatherings of more than 500 people. Daily testing. So you're tested within 24 hours. So that's kind of our.
When I was there, they just wanted you to show a vaccine card on your phone. So Google an image and.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, to talk about that, it's usually hostesses that are policing that. It's kind of like a, why are we even doing this kind of thing mentality there. So
yeah,
people just funnel in with a picture on their phone. They just funnel through the doors. So I don't see Fence Tech probably be the same way.
Good to know. Well, Fence Tech is masked now. So if you're going to be on the showroom floor, you have to have a mask, which is going to make YouTube videos fairly interesting. So I've already got tickets for our producer, Jeremy, and then, of course, my sister's coming for the Represent the Fence Company. But we were planning on just kind of stopping by and interviewing folks like yourself. They're going to be there, friends of the show.
What's going on in New Orleans, man? What is the deal?
I don't know. No, yeah, this is, I had asked for clarification, and this is the clarification I received. Let's see. As of February 12th, masks will be required in all public areas, lobby, sessions, and exhibitor floor throughout New Orleans. Still no vaccination or negative test required to enter the trade floor, but required with any food or beverage function and restaurants, which that's kind of been the thing from the get-go.
When you have companies spending millions of dollars to come to and do and invest into a trade show, I sort of feel like they need to start doing those in areas where there's a little more freedom, because you know as well as I do, when you're wearing a hat and you're wearing a mask, it's like the eye contact, the conversation just completely leaves, and it's almost like, why are we even doing this
Yeah.
if we can't communicate with people?
Yeah. I definitely see the point. I think, and just to play kind of both sides of the conversation, I mean, these things get booked years in advance, I would
Mhm,
assume,
mhm.
probably 2 or 3 years in advance. So this conversation came up in the Fence Workers Association page on Facebook. And that was kind of the gist of the conversation, though, was because they were saying we should have it somewhere with less restrictions. Texas and
Mhm.
Florida came up. And the kind of the point was like, listen, this thing got booked a couple years ago,
Oh, sure, sure.
and
We
people are
we used to do
canceling
it.
events elsewhere and bringing them all to these states. So the chances of moving an event like this
Yeah,
the same year would probably be slim to none. I think the choice was probably going to be have it or don't have it.
yeah,
After not having last year's event there in Nashville, I think there's a lot of pressure just to
yeah.
open it up
The
regardless.
unfortunate thing is that you can't cancel it, because if you could cancel it, if 50 events would cancel out of New Orleans and out of these restrictive cities, then that the message would come across.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the good news is we're going to go to Oklahoma next year.
I have a
We're
feeling
going to
things would be much
Nashville.
different.
So, yeah,
And that'd be a little bit nicer for us folks in Missouri. Oklahoma is drivable,
yeah.
so it'd be kind of nice. All right, let's keep it going here. Oh, speaking of California, Ramona High is in San Diego.
Good
It's
morning.
beautiful in San Diego. 303 Carpet Cleaning says hi from Colorado. Hello, Colorado.
Yes,
I was
sir.
actually just connecting through Denver. You guys got a good bit of snow. Stain Man says greeting from Texas. The one, the only Kenny Dugan's in the house. Hello,
He
Kenny.
is.
Adam Sims is here with us. Morning, fellas. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Adam.
Kenny's got a great point. Can we not schedule rain for this training? I mean, it would feel kind of weird if it didn't rain. I feel like.
Yeah, we are going to have mitigations for that.
We actually try to schedule the events around rain. We kind of look for the historic rain patterns and just schedule it right in the middle.
Yeah,
The
in
one,
the eye of the storm.
yeah, of course. The one in Springfield, it rained the whole dang time, so
Yeah.
that was pretty fantastic. And then the day after, blue skies, birds chirping,
That's it.
fantastic. We did end up getting that fence stain though. Had the guys come up and just stain that thing. It looks fantastic. They are very happy. So they would like to have us back next year. That hotel. I think that went pretty well. What do you think,
Like,
Caleb? I
Joe,
know
do you
we gotta
do any
wrap up,
carpet cleaning classes?
but right. Some painting or something. No, they were very good. I thought they were great hosts. That hotel was.
Great facility. They were better than the Biltmore, man. They really were.
It was good. They and after we had stained it, I got 2 or 3 emails from people there on the staff just thanking us for coming in and being a great group. And so I appreciate those of you guys that came. I appreciate you guys because you guys made a great impression on them, which helps us keep this thing going. You know what? Ideal Fence, what is up? What is up, Fence fam? Morning, Joe and Caleb. Looking forward to today's content. We are looking forward to presenting this content.
Good deal.
Zach is here from, you're going to have to pronounce that one.
That's Collierville, man.
Collierville. Okay. I had to make sure.
I
Well,
think.
because sometimes things are pronounced different in Tennessee. For example, here in Missouri, we've got Lebanon. And Tennessee is Lebanon.
No. It's Lebanon here.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
I feel like I got correct. So someone there was messing with me.
Yeah, probably somebody from like Boston was messing with you, but yeah. So we've got Lafayette, not Lafayette. we've got Lancaster, not Lancaster.
Okay.
We've got Lebanon, not Lebanon. So.
Here in Missouri, we call it Lebanon also, but I feel like I don't know. Someone there was yanking on my leg then.
Yep.
Justin, thank you. Justin, you're welcome. Phil is here from England. Hello from England. We've got a pretty decent UK representation. I am here for it. Thank you, guys.
Good deal.
Dave says, afternoon, Phil. Look at this guy. Bam Bam's here. Morning, guys.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
Corey Powell says, Caleb, great talking with you at the Panhandle event.
It was fun, man. It really was.
And Corey's Lebanon. That is the correct pronunciation. Yep. Let's see. One more. Matthew Munson. Good morning, Joe and Caleb. Good morning, Matthew. We met Matthew. Was it the Virginia event, I think?
Yeah, man. It's Map Quality Fencing. Those guys are getting after it.
Yep. Over at the Virginia event.
And,
good to
and
see you guys.
A lot
Good
of
to
time
follow
with
you
their
guys.
kids too, which is important. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right, Caleb. So let's kind of dig into it. So 3 days, and it's got a little bit of a schedule change. Like you said, we're kind of doing round robin training. That way guys can see both presenters, sort of thing, in two or three different regards. Is that right?
Yeah, I think circuit training, is that what they call that, circuit training? And yeah, so if we got 500 people standing around learning one thing, it's tough to get your question in. You could get pushed to the back and not hear. So if we've got 100 people groups, or 5 or 10 50 people groups sessions going on, then you can rotate that, and you can get out a lot more stuff. We'll have breakout sessions, things like that, so you can go hang out with Joe if you really want to just have some one-on-one time, or a small group with Joe or whatever. And so the idea is just trying to create the most value for everyone attending. Now, it is going to be a little tougher if you're an instructor. We got some great instructors, but it's going to be, you might have to repeat a few things. Sure. But I think that is also good, though, because maybe your first presentation you forgot something. Your next one, I think it'll help us to be better instructors as well.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's going to be challenging for the instructors, which is good. I think a challenge is always fun. To kind of not fall into repetition. Have the same talking points. You want to present the same subject matter, but maybe in different ways, and try to talk to different audiences. So that's one thing I've been, since we had talked about doing the round robin, I'd been kind of chewing on what I think that'll look like. So I think I'm going to ask some questions in the beginning to gauge the crowd and what they'd like to learn, and then just start riffing on that.
Yeah, I think so. And then, of course, we'll probably have like an expert panel, get everybody up there so everybody can ask questions. And the Florida event we went to, I'll be honest, they did an expert panel. We didn't run that show. That was ran by some great folks at Panhandle Power Wash Supply. But nobody asked questions like they do at our events. Our events, how many questions? If we got 200 people in the room, we're going to get 250 questions. And there was maybe 10 questions, which really surprised me. So I just want to make sure people, the fee to get into our free show is you got to bring a problem, and you got to bring a solution. So hopefully everybody will do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, when I give one of these talks, I usually like to reserve 15, 20 minutes at the end for Q&As, because I really feel like that's where a tremendous amount of value can be found. I typically talk about marketing, right? Specifically video marketing is what I really enjoy. It's what I'm passionate about. But I can talk about what I think the group would like to hear. But I think there's more value in the group actually asking pointed questions, direct questions, and just expanding on that. That's really where I feel like the value is.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask. You're in a room full of peers, so you could ask anything from, "Hey, what are you doing for health benefits in your company? What are you doing for tax avoidance at the end of the year if you're buying equipment? What are you paying for insurance?" Those are things you can ask about also in this, not just operational things. So, successful business owners get with groups of peers and they talk about business. So that's what this is all about.
Well, and that's it, is figure out what's working for someone else and see if you can apply it to your business. I mean, I felt like that's what we did well at the Springfield event. We had speakers come and present, but then also we had these kind of smaller sessions, smaller breakout sessions, where there were just small groups of conversation going on in the groups. And it was a wide range, so it was interesting to hear that. And like you had said, I kind of walked in on the tail end of the conversation. I wish I'd been there for the whole thing, where you guys were talking about not group health insurance, right? Because group health insurance can be wildly expensive, but how do you offer a version of health insurance to your team members? That's I was sad I missed the beginning of that one. We need to recreate that one if at all possible.
Yeah. So we can tell you what we're doing, but and we got the honky tonk again, man. So
I saw that.
we got the nightlife honky tonk where we rented out the whole place,
Yeah.
but it's safe, right? So we're not dealing with a bunch of outside attitudes and people, and so you're not dealing with a bunch of drunk folks and a bunch of people wanting to fight and too loud music. You're all in one place with peers, so you can get the Nashville experience. You can go boot scoot and boogie if you want, but you can sit around the table and have a drink and talk with some folks at the same time.
Yeah, they had a really good sized dance floor, if I remember right.
Yep.
I had a really good time there last year.
And you're a great dancer, Joe. I didn't know that about you.
Not true. Not true. Now you're making stuff up, Caleb, and you're going to get these thoughts in people's heads, and this is going to come up. So I was going to put it out there. Joe does not dance, actually, not at all. So me and the kids proved this last night. They were watching a show when they had some music at the end, and I was showing off my dance moves, and my 13-year-old was completely embarrassed. She was mortified. So we've got a father-daughter dance coming up on February the 5th. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to break some of these dance moves out, for the father-daughter. And she told me she wouldn't go if I did. So I had to promise not to dance, actually.
That's the way it goes sometimes. It's like the short shorts. If you wear short shorts, I am too, baby.
That's right. I love that idea. We have adopted that at the house, that I reserve the right to show up at her school wearing the same length of shorts that she has chose to wear that day.
Yep. You better do
May
those
not happen
squats
every day, but it certainly could happen.
Yeah.
So Kenny's jumping in. Love the idea of circuit training, more individualized training.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely right. And I
hey,
think
we
that's
need to, speaking of that, since you're talking about Kenny's here, you're here. We need to get together and do let's do a Zoom call soon, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All of us, see what we can do to take it to the next level this year.
I agree. I'm in town until FinTech. I think we leave out the 15th, Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah, I've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks before I go back on the road.
So yeah, we need to schedule a call with Kenny. Also, in that email, we probably need to try to schedule a call with Kasurik as well. He wants to chat about
for sure
going to Philly. I'd love to go to Philly.
We talked about that for March, so we definitely will.
Yeah, I love to see the history up there. But so more individualized training, and that's really what I'm trying to figure out, wrap my head around. And I think I'm going to accomplish that by basically asking some probing questions in the beginning, show a hand sort of thing, and see kind of where everyone's at comfort wise. Basically ask them, like, how can I tailor this next hour or 45 minutes, however long, to you guys? Right. Like, I don't want to spend my time talking about something that you guys might not be interested in or that you've already heard. So that's my real fear here. Right. So I've done several of these talks, and you see some familiar faces in these trainings. And what I'm really afraid of is they start to sound the same. Right.
Yeah. Well, a cool thing we got this year is, again, we're mixing it up. So we got some new people coming. We got people from power wash industry. We got our keynote this year is a guy named Jacob Salem, who is I guess you would say world-renowned social media expert. He does the Zig Ziglar brand, Les Brown, Kevin Harrington, the Shark Tank guys. He's really worked with some big outfits, and he's going to talk to everybody about the changing world of social media. And so that's something me and you both be interested in. And
I can't wait to sit in on that.
Yeah.
That's a fun part of this too, is you and I and the other presenters, we actually also get to be students. We get to sit in the crowd and take notes. I mean, that's honestly, that's one of the reasons why I love doing it, just because I know who's going to be there.
So part of that circuit training, you're not always going to be on. If you got 4 classes, you know what I'm saying? If you may only schedule 3 at a time, but you'll have 5 stations. So 2 of those stations can go sit where they want to sit. So I think
like that a lot.
But yeah, you'll be able to participate for sure.
Well, and that's why. So that's my why, right? It's one of my whys is, one, I get to be helpful. I get to have an impact, because after these events, as well as I do, Caleb, like, we start hearing stories of, I took this gold nugget, I took that gold nugget, I implemented in my company, and now we're doing some great stuff. Right?
Yeah, you start seeing some guys really crush it.
That's right. But the other why is that we also get, the teacher also learns through teaching,
Mhm.
right? So in the medical community, they watch one, they do one, they teach one to show
Yep.
proficiency, whether it's whatever the task is. And the teach one is an important part of this showing proficiency, right? Because when you have to articulate it, when you have to explain it and break it down in a way that someone else will understand and learn from, it makes you think about it differently.
Yeah. This
So
is true.
let's talk for a minute about why this thing doesn't cost eight, $900,000, couple $1,000, because that's what we hear, right?
Yeah.
Is we
So,
hear you should charge for it. I would pay to come to this, that sort of thing. But
well,
again, you and I have had this conversation several times where it's free, period.
yeah. So, and I'll divulge some information here and tell you why we're making some of the changes we're making. So, we've always done the food. Well, this year it's going to cost about $45,000 a day to feed everybody. Not going to do that. Can't do it. Doesn't make sense. We're not there selling a truckload of stain. So
Sure,
we're
sure.
there doing a training. So
Yeah,
so we're just splitting things up, making it where it's more, it is what it is. Like the venue, we do the work for the venue, and then when we're done with the venue, my team comes in. We power wash the parking lots. We clean up any mud from footprints. We sweep the floors, whatever. We do all of those things. We clean it up, and we just do everything we can to value engineer it to get a really good venue, and do it for free. But the
sure.
thing is what would you pay for your company? For instance, the first a couple years ago, we had the Deck Medic franchise come in and teach a class. Well, my guys who stain fences and decks were on the front row watching that. So,
Yeah,
so the idea is, could we charge a lot of money for this? Sure, we could, but we want to keep it for free because if we had somebody from Hawaii last year, and what did
yeah.
it cost him to get to Lebanon, Tennessee?
No
Um,
kidding.
if he was willing to do that, that was commitment enough. I felt like so. We're going to try to do some. We're going to try to do some sponsors this year. Probably a
Sure.
little late on that, but we've got a lot of sponsorship levels, and we could really use some sponsorship money just to get this event to the next level.
Sure.
To get more, maybe recording things, maybe put it into videos, and so we can capture some of that. And if we can't do that, we've only got so many hands to do the work. So if we can't do that, we will be fine without sponsors. But some
Sure.
sponsors would be good. But we keep it free just because the industry's been good to us. So we want to give back to the industry, and we feel like if we do, Zig Ziglar always said, if you help enough other people get what they want, one day you'll get what you want too. And so I
Yeah.
think that's true. And I want to promote a spirit of giving in our company, and I'm sure you do too. So that's kind
Yeah.
of the idea.
Well, that's it, Caleb, and you hit the nail on the head. So we felt like our respective industries have been really good to us,
Mhm.
right? And we want to give back because when I was younger in the industry, I met other fencing professionals that kind of gave me tips and tricks on a
Yeah.
one-on-one basis, right? And I thought, well, I'd sure like to do that for someone else, but a one-on-one basis really isn't scalable, right? There's only one me. So if we're
Right.
just doing one-on-one, then I could my impact would be minimal, right? Just because there's only one of me. But by doing these trainings, we're able to spread that, right? So instead of one on one, it's 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 50. And then all of a sudden you're able to make a greater impact on
Right.
your respective industry.
Right.
Um,
And you spend your time on those who listen. It's like when you're trying to grow your business. It seemed to me early on I would spend a lot of the time on the people that had the most potential but had the least amount of interest in living up to their potential. And so soon you learn, oh, well, let's spend time on the ones who will actually listen and
yeah.
who will grow, and the people, those are the people that come to our events.
Yeah. Well, the people willing to take 3 days, two of those being work days out of their schedule to better themselves and better their company.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's why I found that the people that we meet at these events are such great people, hardworking, salt of the earth, because they've realized, not only it's not enough to work hard, right? You can work yourself as long and hard as you want to, but you have to come to events like this to better yourself, to improve yourself and your company. And these are people that understand that,
Yep.
right? That it's not enough to just put your head down and bull through it. You actually need to try to better yourself and your company.
Yeah. And another thing that it does is it can take the learning curve from a 20-year-old guy who's just starting his business. It can take it from a 15 or 20-year learning curve to a 2-year learning curve.
Yeah.
These guys can really make some impact when they come and learn some of this stuff. When they hang out with guys like Matt Warner, with you, just it really can propel them to new heights. That just takes so long to figure out on your own. How many mistakes can you avoid by learning others' mistakes?
Exactly. And I mean, speaking of Matt Warner, like, you want to talk about a guy that I love to be around whenever I can. That's it. He's the creator of My Salesman. I mean, we'd be here all day talking about his accomplishments. He's very accomplished in the fencing industry and the netting industry. But that's also the thing, is that he sits down at a table and you feel as if you're equal.
Yeah.
Right. You just kind of chit chat about kind of what's going on in your market and what struggles you're having. And then you just riff on someone else says, oh, you know what? I saw that once and here's what we did, sort of thing.
I love it.
I got a comment when we were promoting the Springfield event, and it was a fence guy who had said, he said, well, what does the event cost? I said, it's totally free. And it said it's free because, and I kind of went into it, that we want this to be for everyone and all that. And I'm going to paraphrase because this has been, gosh, that was September. So this was probably August that we were talking. Was it September? October, maybe. It was last year. And the comment was basically, I had to learn this stuff the hard way through blood, sweat, and tears. And I didn't get any shortcuts. So I don't believe in giving shortcuts to anyone else. They have to learn it the hard way. And you want to talk about a limiting belief. Tell me that if you had the opportunity to attend a free training event, then that you wouldn't have. Of course you would. Just because you had it hard and just because you felt like you had to learn everything the hard way doesn't mean that that's everyone else's reality, or that should be everyone else's reality.
This is true, man. It's very true. It's very true.
My nightmare is that, the day this event starts charging whatever the money, right? So if it's $100, there's going to be some folks out there that don't have it in the budget, right? That it just that's going to be the tipping point, and they don't come, and that is the turning point negatively for their business, right?
That's why we're not going to charge for this event. I mean, so it's not going to happen. So sponsors, if it gets to that point, we'll hire a sales team to go after sponsors if we have to. But yeah, it's you're right. We're not going to. My dream and fear is very similar to yours.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, that's a nightmare scenario, is that someone doesn't get to come because the price is too high, and then therefore they become the statistic of a business that goes out of business in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
the people that can gain the most from this training are the ones that are either starting out or the ones that are contemplating starting. Right? I think we hear that story pretty often, that they've got a regular job or a 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it, and they're almost ready to go out on their own, but they wanted to come to make sure that it is what they think it is, that they get the proper training and they know what tools they need. Those are the ones that need the training the most.
You just inspired me. We should do a People's Choice Scholarship.
Okay.
What if we could, if you live in, I don't know, the suburbs of Chicago, you're trying to get a stain company or a fence company going or whatever, you're hustling, but it's just not working, and you've got a good heart. You can't afford to go to this event. What if we found a way to sponsor some guys like that? Put them up,
I like that a lot.
fly them out, put them up, take care of them, send them home. That's a pretty cool idea.
I like that idea a lot. I like that a lot. So
if we took sponsors, that's what we'd spend the money on. We wouldn't.
Well, so here on the channel, and actually, Landmark Creations said hi. Hello. They're coming out next week. Gosh, it's already here. Where we held a contest on the show quarterly. What I'm going to do is kind of what you're saying, where I fly a winner and plus one. So in this case, it's his dad out to the business, and we just talk shop for a couple of days, and then he's going to come on the show next Saturday, actually. But I like the idea of taking that concept and applying it to this learning. I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
Yeah.
So there used to be a contest when I would do these trainings where we'd give away cash if you did so many live videos every day for 5 days. And it worked for that 5 days, but the disappointing thing is it typically didn't last longer than that.
Yeah,
Uh,
you were dropping coins in people, and when you run out of coins, quit.
yep.
You were teaching them to be coin operated people. So
Yep.
there's a better way, I'm sure.
There is, but my point being, I think I'm willing to invest in people. I think that's what I enjoy doing, is investing and watching that investment grow. Right.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm in, is my point, that
Yeah.
let's figure out what that looks like. Um, just what
Let's
the
just
commitment
find
is.
somebody, man. If you guys are watching and you think somebody needs to go to this and they don't have the means, if you got the means, it's not worth it. If you've got the money to come to the show, you're not the right person. And but if you know someone that it would make all the difference, it's kind of like the story of the dad or the grandpa and the grandson walking down the beach, and there are sea dollars all washed up on the beach. There's thousands of them, and the grandpa walks and he's talking to his grandson, and every once in a while he reaches down and picks one up and he throws it in back into the ocean. And the grandson eventually says, "Grandpa, why are you doing this? There's so many, you could never possibly make any difference." And the grandpa threw one more and he said, "Yeah, but for that one, it's all the difference in the world." So if we could find somebody that it could really actually help, I think it would be a good thing.
I I agree, and I would like to get our communities involved in this. I think they're the ones that could help in highlighting who would benefit most from this.
Yep.
I like this idea a lot. I'd like to talk about this more to see how we can get it up off the ground. Um, let's do this though. So for my community that's watching this, if you know someone that could benefit from this training, whether it's fence or stain or power washing, um, email me that information. It's Joe at the fence expert show. And fence expert, there are two E's in that. Joe at the fence expert show. Um, I'd like to be in on this. I really would. I'd like to help somebody.
Yeah. Let us know. That's cool.
So let's see. Let's just get caught up here. Kenny, you and Caleb are not helping. I will not be bringing the badonkadonk to the honky tonk. I will
Uh,
not. I will not.
did
No,
it
it's
happen
fun.
or
It's
didn't
fun to
it?
people watch there.
Yeah.
It's what I enjoyed was I got to have a conversation with two or three of the folks that were at the training, but for whatever reason the timing didn't work out. But we just sat and talked about more trading type stuff, for probably an hour, hour and a half.
We're nerds, man. We're in it.
That's right. When I was up in Wyoming, we're doing a YouTube video, which you guys will see shortly. I believe one of them I need to, or not need it, but I'd like it to come out in the next couple of weeks. But I was only scheduled to be on site at this place for a day, and then the next day I was going to go visit somewhere else and maybe go do some sightseeing. Well, I was at this place the second day because I was like, I want to see this stuff again. Like, I just want to sit and talk with all the people and learn all the stuff. And I got to do my sightseeing from the airplane window on my on my way out of town. Let's see. Brent Mitch is with us. Hello, Brent. Brent always has the best attitude. Talk about California people. Brent is a California folk, and he is good people. He's
Yeah.
always got this attitude.
Don't forget Nina up there. I met.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
What's up
That
from
is
Dallas,
actually
guys?
that is actually Chris with a Y from Garland, Texas, right there. And
Okay.
he's the newest expert stain and seal dealer. Just met him this week in Florida. So power
Very
wash
good.
dealer going right there in Garland, Texas. So
Garland, Texas.
yes, sir. Right in the heart
Good.
of stain country.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So Caleb Kasurk wants you to send them sponsorship information.
No problem. We can do it.
Matthew Munson says, one of the things I love about these events is how easy it is to talk with everyone. Even though we were a new small business surrounded by all the experts, we never felt lower than anyone. Everyone from the presenters to attendees were extremely helpful and easy to talk to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and Matt talked at the hotel bar for a little, for quite a little while, just about business stuff,
Hmm.
right? And when you meet guys like us, like that's what I prefer to talk about. I prefer to sit and talk about all things business. And yeah, I even on my off time, Taylor will attest to this. I last night, she had just prepared dinner and put it out. The kids had already eaten. I was working late, shockingly. But she put down dinner plate, and I saw a call come in on my. I saw the caller ID, and it's somebody I need to talk to is work related. So I jumped on the call and I talked for a while. And like, your dinner's cold. Like, yeah, but I got to talk with him about fence stuff, so I'm good for it. Dan Wheeler's in the house, Fence Industry Podcast with Dan Wheeler. Good morning, guys.
Man,
If you guys don't follow Dan Wheeler, you should.
It's a great podcast.
It is. And I'm not just saying that because I was recently on it. I
was on
legitimately
it too,
enjoy talking with Dan.
Dan is a good interviewer, and
yes.
I like it.
Yeah. He's one of these guys where I think we talked for an hour and a half, and it felt like it was 5 minutes.
Yeah,
just a really good conversation. Dan's actually going to be at Fence Tech also. So, Caleb, we'll get you in on this probably too. So I've got a condo right across the street, the Lola, I think. The Lola or the Sextant. It's the same place. It's two different names or something. Anyway, but we're going to set up basically like a recording studio there in the condo so that we can have live conversations that we will then record, I guess.
I'm in
just
man.
About the fencing industry. Dan and I, so yeah, we talked about this. I have to catch myself and figure out if these are private conversations or not. But Dan and I talked about on the podcast. One thing we'd like to talk about is transferring the legacy, right? What that looks like to either sell a business or hand the business down. But my experience is in buying a business because my dad bought it from his dad, and by gosh, I was going to buy it from him. So that sort of thing. But what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think in all these industries where we're talking about fencing, staining, power washing, you're seeing business owners that have been incredibly successful for 30, 40 years, and they're ready to sell it, hand it off. However, transfer that legacy out in the next 10 years. This is going to be a very important discussion to be having. So, I mean, my dad was a little ahead of his time. We went ahead and did this a little bit early because he was in his late 50s, I guess. Is that right? Late 50s, early 60s when he sold it to me. And he was kind of the oddball because typically guys will own these companies until they're in their 70s and 80s and then do the transfer. I say all that to say that's a conversation that I'm looking forward to having with Dan. But I'm going to set up. We're going to figure out how to get all this gear to New Orleans and set it up, especially now with the masking mandate. A lot of the conversations we were going to have on the show floor, I think we're going to have in a private setting now. But I think these are important conversations to have and document.
Well, I grew up in the fence industry, fence business, ran a family fence business. If we had that conversation early on, I would probably still be in the fence business. Sure. But we didn't. And I just felt like if I was ever going to do anything, I was going to have to do it on my own. So that's what led me to the staining business. And so I think that is an important conversation to have, or at least know that if you do have plans to pass it on, don't keep it to yourself.
Exactly. That is precisely kind of how I ended it with Dan, is that, if I could give one tidbit of my thoughts on this early is exactly that, Caleb. Start the conversation early, and the conversation could be, hey, this isn't going to happen for another 10 years. Like, I am still going to captain this ship for a while, but know that this is kind of my idea of how that looks like what that 10-year plan looks like.
Well, and I think a lot of people probably say, well, my son, if it's going to a son or a daughter, my son or daughter is not acting like a business owner. So there's no way we're even going to have that conversation. If you don't have that conversation and tell them that they're going to be a business owner one day, they're not ever going to start acting like it. So I think the earlier you could do that, the earlier they're going to start acting like a business owner.
Well, that's it, and it gives you some time for mentorship too, right? If you both know that the plan is that they're going to buy this thing or whatever in 10 years, then you have 10 years to figure this out. And I have 10 years to teach you how I've figured this out.
Well, how many things did your dad tell you growing up, or your grandpa, And you probably got this because they knew they were going to pass it down. But a lot of guys just make a decision and they say that's just how it is. If
Yeah.
that conversation has been had, you can say, well, look, I'm ordering this 3 extra truckloads of material right now because I know that prices are going to increase. We've got a little money, we can store it. Tax times, blah blah blah, whatever.
Mhm.
This is the reason. And
Yeah.
so now instead of your son going, my dad just blows all the money on material. He doesn't care about Christmas bonuses. Well, actually, he just saved us, he saved us 15 grand on 2 truckloads. And that
Yep.
was a good call my dad made. My old man's pretty smart. And I
Yeah.
think if they start having, that's important, man. It really is. Because otherwise,
It is.
it's kind of like being in the military. If you're on a patrol and the guy up front's got the map and you're 8 hours into this walking through the jungle, if you don't know where we're going, if they're not in communication, you just feel like a wandering, lost thing. But if they're telling you what's up and where you're going and where the next checkpoint is, you get it. So
Yeah.
I think we need a roadmap.
Exactly. I think that's incredibly important. And I think that starts with a conversation. Right. And when Dan and I were talking, it was the point was that might not be a comfortable conversation either.
Yeah.
Like this will more than likely be uncomfortable,
Yep.
but it needs to happen. It's important that it happens, and the conversation can absolutely be something along the lines of like, this is not written in stone. Like, we're not drawing contracts today. We're not doing anything like that. We're going to have a conversation. What do I think this looks like? What do you think this looks like? Because those two things typically aren't the same,
Yeah.
right? And so how can we come to a mutually beneficial agreement? I think
True,
I
man.
think it's important. I really do.
This is
Um,
every industry in the world
yeah,
that
yeah,
this is relevant to.
yep. Well, and we're gonna be having this conversation kind of here in my business. So without getting too far into it, we're looking at another business venture that's in the same industry, but another business venture. It's going to take some of my time, a significant amount of my time, away from the fence business, which means my sister Sarah is going to step up into more of a like directorship type position, kind of a general manager maybe. Um, so the conversation is going to be something like she's going to come into some ownership percentages on this thing to recognize the fact that she's steering the ship while I'm not here. The so in terms of nautical terms, like, I'm going to become the admiral of the fleet rather than the captain of the ship,
Yeah.
right? But each of the captains need to be properly compensated for what they're doing.
Right.
Um, so we're getting ready to go through that. What that conversation's like, how do we
We're doing the
properly
same thing here.
value this?
The same thing here. So it's relevant to me, it's relevant to you, and I think it's relevant to a lot of other guys that building the fleet.
Yep, yep, and I think, yeah, I don't want to give away the whole conversation that we're going to have on Dan's with Dan, but that's kind of it's where that conversation was headed, and I think it's important. And here's the thing too that's important about my channel and your channel, and all of the guys, Sean Channel and Danny Cannon. Now I have to remember everyone because I don't want to leave anyone out. And Mark, and who else has Tony's got a channel. Everyone's channel. Here's why these are important: is we're documenting, right? So how cool would it have been if we could sit and watch our granddads have conversations like this, right? That we could have got into their heads a little bit, to your point, on why they made decisions that they made. I mean, we can guess at it. I can talk to my dad about his understanding of why my granddad made such, certain decisions or changed the trajectory of the company, whatever. But if there would have been a way to document that at the time, I think we would be better for it as an industry.
Well, humanity has lost a lot of ancestral knowledge.
Yep.
Just for at one time, you had to teach your kids about starting a fire and avoiding saber-toothed tigers and what
Yeah.
things you could eat or couldn't eat. Um, and we don't we live in a safer world today, and we live in a world where things are provided. So it seems like the last 100 or 200 years, maybe, people have just everything's provided for you. So um I think that this documentation is very important. and specifically for your children, but for the world. Imagine, we're creating, the whole world right now is creating this huge network of information and knowledge that will be available, hopefully, the next million years.
Well, that's the thing is it's on the internet, and there's so many versions of the internet that are saved and copied and all that you can't help to think that even if my computer crashes tomorrow and we lose this data that's on the computer, it still lives out there somewhere. Like, we're
Yeah,
obviously going live on YouTube and Facebook. Surely they've got data centers. I know for
yeah,
a fact Facebook's got data centers all over the United States right now, that are cataloging stuff like this.
yep. Well, it's like the Library of Alexandria when it burned, and it had all this information in it about the history of humanity, and
Yeah.
we don't have that anymore. So we got to
I mean,
document this stuff.
imagine as a business owner, if you could go watch a video such as this with some guys that were during the Industrial Revolution, right? That were forming businesses that now are behemoths. What if you could watch them sit and have a conversation like this?
Henry
You
Ford, imagine talking to him or listen to him talk with Nikola Tesla or something
know,
crazy.
exactly. That is exactly the point.
Yep.
Not that either of us are Henry Ford or Nikola Tesla, but that's the idea, right? Is that if we could watch that conversation, like, imagine the value that could be found in that. So I think it's important, and that's honestly why I'm such a big proponent of everyone documenting everything, right? Document your processes, start recording, because you never know when that will become valuable.
Hmm.
Like, we've got a server that has terabytes of information that's probably not useful, but it might be. It's cataloged and it's organized and all that, so that maybe one day Jackson's son would be like, "Hey, you know what? Wonder what Grandpa thought about X, Y, and Z." Oh, you know what? I remember. By then, who knows? Technology will be so wild by then, but there'll be this antiquated server somewhere that's got this data on it, that he can go back and look
Yep,
at.
for sure, man. That's gold. That is
I think
gold.
that's important. Kenny says, change for change. Bring all the loose change in your truck and donate it to get someone to the convention. 500 people donate $100 in change could pay for someone to get there. I like this a lot.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
Kenny's a thinker. Kenny is a thinker. I've always known this, but now this solidifies it in my mind. Change for change. I like
Yeah.
this a lot. So what we need in this program. We need a way to identify, right, those that would be the most, I don't want to say deserving or anything like that, but that it would have the most impact for. We need a way of finding those individuals, right? And um, I don't know. Yes, Kenny, I agree. I agree. I think everyone can. So I think you'll have a few main sponsors of this, right? Like me and Caleb are obviously going to make sure this happens, but then also I think we could open it up for everyone too. I think there could be a 5-gallon bucket at the door, and it's like, hey guys, as Kenny Dugan calls it, change for change. If you guys got loose change in your trucks and you're willing to part with it, we've got a bucket right here so that we can work on bringing somebody in next year that might not have had the opportunity to. I like this a lot. Good on you, Kenny. Good on you. Ramona High says, you guys are great. Love the content. I've been on my own in the fence industry for a year, and I always look to you guys for guidance when I'm struggling. Keep up the good work. Congratulations. The first year is one of the hardest, because you're having to figure a lot of the stuff out. You're building the airplane
Yeah.
on the way down, or what have you. Well, however that saying is, um, if you've got a specific question, I'd love to hear it. And I think we've still got another hour and a half, so we are here to help for sure.
This is true.
Kyle's up here from Republic. What's up, Kyle? Good to see you here. My hometown is hometown wherever you're living at the time. Is that the way that phrase works?
I don't know, Joe. I think that's different for everybody.
I think you're right. So, Kyle's from where I'm from. There you go. Jonathan says, sorry if you guys covered this already. I'm working while listening. Thank you. Appreciate that. Are there still openings to sign up and come to the Standing University? Absolutely. I'm glad you asked because we haven't covered this yet. Caleb, is there still room for someone to come?
We are not going to turn anyone away. Keep on coming. There's only so many hotel rooms, in Nashville.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
let's fill them all up.
Yeah, so there are sign up links. Let's see, you're watching this on YouTube, so there's a sign up link in the description. If you're watching this on Facebook, there's a sign up link in the first comment. Yep, you could click on that, and it will take you to the 2022 sign up. Now that's the thing. I mean, that's the next nightmare, right? Anyone not coming that wants to come is the nightmare. So whether it's financially, took that off the table by making sure that it's free, or that it's that there's not any room. You've taken that off the table by saying anyone that comes will come.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what this stuff is, but just so you know, if you comment something like this, away you go. Because we just click the buttons and then we block the user.
Yeah, we get them on our channel too. It's spam.
I don't know what this is. Like,
it's
that's a second person so far today.
It's Vladimir Putin, man.
He's trying to hack us.
Yeah.
Putin, we're a fence show. Like we're fence and stain guys. We serve no purpose to Mother Russia here. All right. So here is another link for those of you. So you can click it in the comments. If you're watching it on Facebook, just click that link. Take you right to it.
Yeah. So that crazy looking link, that's a form. Just click the link and that goes to the sign up form. It's just a Google form that you just sign up, put in, hey, I'm coming and I'm bringing however many people, and it'll send you all the information you need to know to get there. That's it.
Absolutely. Ruma says, yeah, definitely. Figuring out how to get jobs continues to be a daily battle, but also getting all the equipment needed, figuring out finances, definitely the first years of battle. So here's what I'll say on this is this continues, right? Like the guy that you think has it figured out, like what's funny is like I'll look to other fence guys that do more business or seem more organized and all that, and I'll chat with them and I'll be like, oh, well, they're figuring stuff out too. Like it's like you never get to the point where you like just sit back at the desk and you're like, yep, everything's figured out. Got it all organized.
I know guys that have been in the business 30 years in any business, and they're still trying to figure out how to get jobs, how to get people, how to get finances figured out, and how to get equipment paid for. It's a struggle, man. It's never.
And that's the thing is I say that as, some form of encouragement that like we're all figuring that out, so on the agenda next week is a team meeting on talking about lead generation and really talking about the lead generation we're doing. Is it effective? How are we measuring it? Can it be better? That whole thing. So it's a continual process. It really is. The equipment right now is a massive pain. No matter what stage of business you're in, just finding equipment right now that's decent is a struggle. I mean, new equipment is a struggle for sure. Like it's 6 months to get a new, so I looked into a Bobcat MT100 just because somebody failed financing, but those things are 6 months out. You just get on a list and you wait for 6 months to get that piece of equipment.
Crazy.
So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I think I was just saying that to say, good on you for figuring it out now, but just know that it will be a continual process for sure.
That is right.
So Caleb, what's on your mind? We've talked a lot about the event, but what's going on? What's going on with you guys? So can we talk about the new addition to the expert family?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Go ahead. No. So you guys have what other industries would be called, probably be termed like an ad agency, right? Or a marketing
okay. I thought Ashley told you about a new baby or something that I don't know about, and I was going, man, I'm going to be in trouble. Look at her watching right now. I'm getting
no, not that I know
Wait
about.
a minute. Yeah, man. So, so first of all, we're rebranding everything. You guys have probably seen that. We're figuring things out as we go, like you talked about. And so things change. We're figuring out what changes. And I have always been a sort of a marketing minded person, and I like it. It's fun for me. And we've always done well with social media marketing, particularly to grow our service business. And so we've done that, and we've done a pretty good job at it. And I've been wanting to take it to the next level. We've been used outsourced. I don't want to say outsourced, but we'll hire somebody to do a graphic design for us. We'll hire somebody to build this or to build that. And I've just the last year I've said, I really want to build a world-class marketing team in my business. Well, Joe, what a world-class marketing team's not cheap. It costs money.
Yeah.
So how do we get a world-class marketing team to make sense in our company? Um, and so we started Expert Ads Agency, basically, um, to do all of our marketing and to do all of our lead generation through the social channels. And it's working. It's working well, and it's awesome because now we're moving faster. We're moving faster and faster and faster, and it's in my office, so we can feel they can feel what it is to be a part of our company instead of us gathering all this information in a bucket and sending it to somebody in Mississippi or somebody in Florida or somebody in Canada to do, or even overseas sometimes to do, put together a print ad or a brochure or whatever, or to do a Facebook ad. We're doing it in-house now. And we've always done the social part in-house, but now we've got the design aspect and then more people to do the social part. So how do we pay for it and get really good at it? We niche down and we decide, hey, we're doing fencing, staining, wood restoration type stuff, and we're doing lead generation for people in the industry that you know see the need for that in their business. And so that's kind of it. Wasn't expecting to talk about this, so appreciate it, but
No, of
that's
course,
it,
of
man.
course.
If you want us to market for you, you want us to get leads for you, we'll do it. It's affordable, and it works.
So that's something I'd like to talk to you guys more about offline, so offline only because it'd be for my company. Um, I'd be interested in seeing what that partnership would look like. Cause like I said, one of the things I do at Ozark Fence is our marketing and advertising. Um, so as my time gets kind of stretched in two directions, that's one of the things I think that could slip. And so I'm
Yeah.
seeing that now, and I want to try to head that off maybe. So
Well, you'll
because
notice in our company, we're 25 posts a day across all platforms.
yep. Yeah, one thing you
And
guys do very well is marketing.
you can't do that by yourself with this phone. Well, you can't, but you cannot live life and do that. So
No.
why not? Why not? You know,
Well,
why
and
not
the
have a lot of
dangerous thing about doing it, about one person doing it, is that gives your company one voice. Right? Now, having a voice is important. I'm not going to downgrade that, but
Mhm.
the voice can be louder if it's coming from multiple people, right?
Yeah,
And it can
exactly.
resonate with more people if it comes from more people, if that makes
Well,
sense.
perfect example. Let's say somebody in San Diego hires us for lead generation, or just marketing services in general, and we do a really great job of it. Well, we're going to be marketing it on their channels, whatever they have. You and I both know that you put out a video on your channel. Then what do? You go share it to every group that you're involved in. You put it on Craigslist. I mean, you put this thing everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's part of it. So that's like your responsibility. So it's you have to. It's hard to hire a company and just expect the whole world to just happen. So you
Yeah.
got to do your part. I mean,
Yeah.
if you start working and doing marketing for a Fortune 100 company, obviously you're going to do all of those things. But for most folks like us that have smaller service businesses, hire a good ad agency or a good good marketing team and let them do their thing. Give them what they need so that they can succeed, and then you go blast it out also in all the places. And many hands make light work.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what's intriguing to me about this, Caleb. So we've worked with agencies in the past, but the problem is the voice isn't genuine, meaning that like the way they phrase things would not be the way a contractor would phrase things, right?
Joe, the
Or
biggest problem I see in marketing is they have 500 customers and they're in every business imaginable. So
yep,
that's why we want to stick what do we do in Nashville with our service business?
Mhm.
We grew up in the fencing business, but did it my whole life. I know the language.
Yeah.
We've done staining and sealing and wood restoration, which involves a power washer too. So that's what we're good at. That's what we do for ourselves. And that's really the avenue. We want to put the blinders on and stick to those things because we're good at those. We know the language. When
Sure.
if we're doing, it's like the million or whatever it is, the 10,000 kicks one time,
Yeah.
or one or knows 10,000 kicks or whatever.
Yep.
If we figure out what works to get staining leads or fencing leads in Nashville, it's going to work in Louisville, Kentucky. It's going
Mhm.
to work in San Diego. It's going to work in Republic, Missouri.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the idea. Is just we'll get really good at one thing if we just do that one thing.
Well, and there's always going to be intricacies, right? Like every business is a little bit different from the next. But if you can start with that foundational knowledge that you guys have of, because Caleb, I mean, you have the unique experience of been having lived in both worlds, the fencing world and the staining world,
Mhm.
and the cleaning world too. So it gives you a little bit of some unique perspective to have that type of conversation rather than, to your point, an ad agency that has 500 different clients and they say, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
but
sure.
they're, we specialize in service-based businesses, home service-based businesses. Well, that's fantastic, but it's still not my industry, right? So
Yeah,
just because you deal with roofers and HVAC and electricians and carpet cleaners doesn't mean that you're going to say things in a way that a fencing contractor would, or you know what I mean? Like it still feels off. It really does. We
yeah,
worked with an agency for a while and they were great, but I would constantly have to go in and change the posts, right? Or
yeah.
reword them to put them in our words.
My dad's he used to use one of the big, that you would recognize them. Their branding is yellow, and it just
Uh,
none of it made sense. It
yeah.
was like somebody in Asia who could barely speak English was doing this ads, and I was like, "What are they charging you for this?" And it was just blowing my mind. And the
Mhm.
the problem is so many business owners, they just think that that's okay. Well, we're paying social media marketing, or we're paying SEO, or we're paying this, and it
Yeah.
must be working. Or they say social media SEO, none of that stuff works. It don't work. We've been spending money on it for years, and it doesn't work. So we're just trying to shed a little light in our corner of the industry and do something that works.
Yeah, that's a funny point to make because so right now we're pretty heavy into Facebook. I mean, we do radio and we do other things, but we're
Mhm.
really heavy into Facebook because Facebook works well for us from a branding perspective. But you'll have folks that say, like, in these groups will be like, well, Facebook doesn't work. I tried it once, doesn't work. Well, everything works. It's just how effectively it works and what's the cost for it to work. But boosting boosting a couple posts is not Facebook advertising, right?
Yeah,
That's a component, but
yeah,
the YouTube guidance, or the Facebook guidance, they tell you that no more than 10% of your budget should be spent on boosting posts. You should also be running 90% of that through the ads manager. So if your only marketing plan is to use boosted posts, it probably won't work out well.
yeah.
You know,
We
and
don't
it won't
ever
make your
push
phone
both.
ring tomorrow. Like, it
Yeah,
could, but that's not the point, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. So generally, the rule kind of is posts are for engagement and for branding, like you said. Lead
mhm,
generation is something actually totally different. So we would send
yeah,
you would do lead generation, send that to a Google spreadsheet or to your phone or whatever, however you want it.
mhm,
A lead generation is where um, people want a service and they want a quote. So um,
yep.
a lot of fun stuff there,
You could also send them to a tool that
yeah.
was
So
made.
exactly, lead generation, and the problem is, I'll be honest, we're playing with that, but we're not. There's some funkiness going on in the ads and the business manager that makes that tough, and so we're trying to really iron that out because, as you know, we now have the My Salesman staining tool, so we're
Mhm.
working on that. But that is the ultimate goal, is to have fully qualified leads.
Well, and so we have an agency that does Google ads for us because I am fantastic at what I'm good at, obviously, but Google is a different thing. Google
Yep.
ads are just different than Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. It's just different. So rather than, I tried it for a while with some mediocre results. And so I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's hire a company that does great at it. But they could not understand why I just wanted to send these leads to our quote tool. That is the first step. I want them to go there. And they said, well, yeah, but we'd like for them to call you. Well,
Because
yeah,
they can show those calls. Yeah.
yep. And I was like,
It's
no,
working.
I want them to go to the tool. Like, well, but maybe certain hours you want phone calls. No, not really. I want them to go to the tool. And if they have questions, I mean, obviously we have people that answer the phones. We have a call center that answers phones, but that call center is going to walk them through the quote tool. So rather than like round robin this thing, send them straight to the quote tool. But they justify their fees by showing, amount of phone calls, average call time, that sort of thing. Which, it's all about motivation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about
Well,
yeah.
the Google people have been doing this stuff for 20 years.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, that was very important because they were up against the yellow pages and they had to make the phone ring. Yellow pages made the phone ring.
Yep.
Now Google came out and then they did the SEO or the ads and they had special phone numbers.
Yep.
And you called whatever the phone number was. It wasn't your phone number, but it went to your phone and then they could track it. And so they could say, oh, it is working. And we still do that, but
yeah, and it's so the modern day equivalent is going to be tracking links, right? Like we use, if you look at the link for the 2022 sign up for Standing University, it's a short link, right? It's a bit.ly link that is actually branded to my channel, but it's a bit.ly link so that I can look at the back end and see this many people clicked. And it helps me. Like, I'll be fully transparent. It helps me when Caleb, you and I are having a conversation and I can say, well, judging by this, we sent X amount of people to the Stain and Seal Expert shop, as part of our like sponsorship conversations, that sort of thing. So that it certainly has its place, but I think we need to update our methods from phone calls to tools like this. But
automation, it's just the most automation we can get so that you have more time to spend on doing things that matter.
Well, and we had a My Salesman lead come in from like 2:05 this morning, right? Like, we weren't open. We were sleeping at 2:05. Why wasn't this person sleeping? I don't know. Maybe their second shift or something. Anyway, 2:05 this morning, a My Salesman lead came through. That might not be a lead that we would have captured otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's also
and
being
that
present.
person actually got to interact with your business in a time that fit their schedule. So it's a big deal.
That's right. It really is. Ashley is on top of it. Here's the link for the Experts ad agency. So there's that. But then Ashley also said it's not polite to pick on people who can't defend themselves. I don't think we were picking on Ashley, though, were we?
It was a pick at me.
Yeah, we weren't picking on you, Ashley. Believe me, I know who the dangerous one is here. I'm not going to pick on Ashley at all. So I think this question's been asked and answered, but can you guys do lead generation for someone in San Diego?
Anywhere in the world, man.
Yeah. Because the funny thing or the interesting thing that I found, like, by having this channel is that everyone's customers are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Obviously different people. However, pretty much the same. For fence companies, we love to do work for homeowners. So at Ozark Fence, homeowners, married, one or more kids, preferably with pets. That's our ideal demographic, right? But that's also the ideal demographic for someone in Colorado and Texas, California, and North Carolina. Homeowners are important, right? I don't know of a fence company anywhere that builds fence for folks that live in apartments. Probably not.
This is true. Yeah.
Once you figure that out, once you figure out what that demographic looks like, these platforms are really great at letting you load in a sample demographic, and then they go find the people in these particular markets that match these, criteria. Yeah. So whether it's San Diego or Charlotte or Miami, wherever, pretty much going to be the same.
You
Now
got it. Yeah.
there's some specialization in there, right? Like you can get super nitty gritty into it and say these are the area codes that, based on the last 10 years of data, perform well for us. Let's emphasize that. Here in Springfield, I know the area codes that we need to market to and the area codes that we probably don't, because we just historically we don't do a lot of business
Data,
in
yeah.
those area codes or zip codes, not area codes. We're all in one area code. Zip codes is what I meant. But yes, to answer your question, I bet San Diego would work just like anywhere else. I don't know why I'm answering that question. That was for you.
San Diego would actually work better than, there's a lot of there's people with money in San Diego, so it's going to be easier to find that demographic there than it would be in somewhere like you never heard than San Diego, Ohio. We'll put it like that.
Yeah. So it used to be even better in Facebook before the Cambridge Analytica thing happened. You could really dial in some advertising. So we used to not only do homeowners, we used to do household income of 100,000 or more. There's a net worth component too that you could emphasize. Dang, I mean, you could really dial this in. Now, after Cambridge Analytica, they took away some of those demographics that you could choose. My working theory is that when you put in a sample size, I think they still take that into consideration.
Yeah,
you just can't go check the box for
it. I think they use it for their own benefit. They just don't let us use it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it's fine. You just tell them, hey, here's the sample size. Here's the sample clients. Find more people that look like these people.
Right.
That works out pretty well. So irregardless of where you are. What else do we have going on here? Heritage Fence in Eastern Pennsylvania. I spaced on that. Hey, guys, working and watching here in Eastern Pennsylvania, fencers need not race to the bottom and know their value. We could talk about this for days. Agreed. I think that who was I having this conversation with? I was having this conversation recently about new contractors typically are the ones that race to the bottom because every company needs a unique selling proposition, right? So something that makes them different than everyone else.
Right.
Pick me because X. Now, it's typically cost, quality, or experience, or kind of the three top things. Well, they can't claim experience, right? And quality, in today's day and age, everyone has access to quality. So it typically gets to price, right? And typically it's that I'm the lowest price, or we had a guy in our market do this recently. The whole, like, I'll match or beat anyone's quote by 10%. You want to have a scary conversation, have two guys that don't know their numbers beat each other by 10%.
That sounds like a great business model to me.
Yeah. It'll work for about 6 months until you run yourself out of money.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And so what this particular guy was doing, though, is, so on the commercial side, you see companies that will they'll work to be lowest bidder, and then they'll make their money up on the change orders.
Right.
So they'll say, hey, I know there's going to be 3 to 5 change orders on this. If I had the master contract, I get the change orders, I'll make my money up on the back end. This guy was trying that in the residential world. So he would go add in gates, or if there was any change, it would have a cost associated with it. And you could imagine that in the residential world, that didn't work too well. People did not like that.
It upset a lot of people.
Yeah. And the problem is here that it makes everyone else. So he flamed out, obviously, but it makes everyone else that is still doing fence in this market. Now we've got to pay for that. Right. So we get all the suspicious questions. We get all the, we have to deal with all the fallout. Now, who knows where he went? He went off somewhere else to be a different trade. I'm not going to single out a trade because, there's good people out there, but he's going to doing something else now. He's not doing fence anymore. So, and we went through this again. Was it summer before last, I think, with the guy that did the deal where he took a bunch of deposits and didn't do the work. That seems to be a common trick guys try in the fencing industry, in trades in general, but we see it in fencing. And those of us that are still operating in the market also have to deal with that fallout, right? So every time we ask for a deposit, we get reminded that the Missouri Attorney General had to get involved with this guy for taking deposits. And we're in a bit of a unique situation because I say, well, Mr. and Miss Customer, we've been building fence since 1955. Today's not the day where we're going to try to change
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
And
The
we're
industry.
not taking deposits because we need the money, right? So for 90% of the fences we sell, we've got it in inventory, right? We're not going to buy the material. We've already bought the material, but it's to lock in your place on our calendar. It's to
Right.
show that you are making a commitment that we are going to build this fence so that we don't take away from somebody else, but it's still tough, to Heritage's point, we don't need to race to the bottom, and we need to know our value. I think that's incredibly important.
It's very true.
There's conversations right now in the fencing industry, in every industry, I'm sure, regarding, what is your value? I think we need to understand that trades in general, the demand is up and the supply is down.
Yeah.
Right. Whether we're talking about labor or materials. Now, materials, I think it's a pretty easy conversation with the client to say, you've seen the news, as well as I do, everything's in short supply, which is kind of weird because that's a whole different conversation. But I feel like it's weird that everything that you want in the country is back ordered. So that's kind of odd, maybe. But labor's also in short supply. I mean,
Well,
anyone in the trades knows this.
yeah, and I think some companies get it and some do not. The ones that get it understand that they have to have a margin good enough to provide uniforms, to provide
Mm,
sick and vacation paid time off, that they have to provide benefits, they have to pay payroll taxes, they have to pay quarterly taxes, they have to pay stupid taxes. We got to pay all these things. And in order to do so, you have to understand what it actually costs to do business.
Yeah,
And
and
so
and
the
you need to put
companies that
some you
figured it,
need to put some aside.
yeah, and the companies that have that figured out can attract better employees, or employees. I don't want to say even better employees, that they just will attract more people in general, because you can go over here and build fence and you can get this, this, and this, or you can go over here and get, uh, build fence and not get it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
education is very important in the industry for that. So, yeah, but as far as things being shortages, you can blame a lot on COVID.
Mhm. Which, that's kind of a strange conversation, right? That
Well, it's almost, it can, it, all I'm saying is it can be you. Everyone in the room
yeah.
knows someone that said, that just flaked out on you, and they go, "Oh, COVID," or
Mhm.
"We're short on this." Oh, it can become a scapegoat for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So
world.
what's interesting though, so I was talking to a dealer, a Wheatland pipe and steel or pipe and tube Wheatland dealer last week. The
Mhm.
price of tubing's coming down. Wheatland just announced that the price of tubes coming down
Yeah, and that's
because
good.
they got
And
in a lot.
we were told that this year was going to be a shorter of steel, or a shortage of steel, like for the postmaster and all that. So I'm curious to
Hmm.
see what actually happens.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that because we had brought in about 2 truckloads worth of tubing recently. So yeah, but Wheatland themselves issued the notice to their dealers that the price of tubing is coming down. So I guess they got quite a few shipments of ore or whatever, um, and so that's bringing their cost down. Hmm. It's interesting
Well, that's
because
good.
the cost of everything else steel has gone up lately. So kind of odd, but it makes
Yeah,
you a little bit nervous when you order massive amounts of inventory. We're sitting on the most inventory we've ever sat on. I
yeah,
mean,
we're sitting on a
ever.
year's supply of material to make stain. So, and that's the thing. I've talked with someone who buys a lot of lumber, and their guy told them that, look, kind of an after hours conversation. Look, they're not going to lower the prices. The
Yeah.
leadership and they know that you'll pay the price, and so their cost has come way down. They're sitting on tons of material. They're not going to cut it up. They're going to keep it in and they're going to run less labor, pay out less in labor. They're going to make the supply shortage while they're sitting on a whole pantry full of, food or whatever. They got everything they need. It's greed a lot of times. So, and
Well,
then there are some
because
people.
and their clients have illustrated the ability to pay.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's some industries that really do have shortages, that really, their margins. Some companies' margins have tripled or doubled, and some companies' margins have been cut in half or been cut 4 times. So it's a strange dynamic, that we're all
Yep.
getting used to, and I don't
So
like it.
I was talking to somebody about this in the restaurant industry. They own some restaurants,
Hmm.
and they said it would surprise you because a lot of restaurants are keeping their lobbies closed because they say there's a lack of workforce.
Right.
And he said, well, there's not. Right. He said, I can go out and hire people now. Like there's people in the market I can go hire, but profits are better in the drive through than they are in the restaurant or on the floor. Right.
Right. Right.
So if we keep the floor closed, we can still keep operating, but at a higher profit, at better margins. So
Exactly.
a lot of these national chains are keeping their lobbies closed because they make better money in the drive-through or on the takeout. Right, the DoorDash, the Uber Eats, the whatever. They make better money there than they do actually in the kitchen or on the floor. So,
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brent, I see your comment. I don't disagree. However, this is not a political show. We're just saying there's things out there that don't quite make sense. And so what you see happening is this is part of the conversation that happened that will be coming out soon. So I went up to Casper, Wyoming, met with Brenton Manufacturing, Briss and Brenton up there, well, and Gabe. Um, both those guys, if you get the opportunity to work with those guys, you should. I mean, if you need any sort of, they produce chain link wire, they produce some extruded strand, they produce wire ties. If you get the opportunity to work with them, you should. They're genuinely really good guys. The conversation was, and the video that's going to be coming out soon, is that manufacturers of today and tomorrow look very different than the manufacturers that we grew up with.
I think so.
Meaning independent manufacturers and suppliers that are, I don't even want to say regional. These guys are reaching both coasts, they're reaching north and south. So it's not necessarily regional, but it's independent, right? And I think the reason you're seeing that is they're not bound, by corporate structure. They're not bound by a board of directors who's giving them mandates on, earnings percentages and things like that. They're there to make material and they're there to supply the market with that material. So I think you're going to start seeing that more and more. Now, the lumber industry is going to be tough
Yeah.
for these kind of operators to get into because starting a lumber mill is a capital intensive operation.
Mhm.
Like you need to have several $1 million ready to put down in several million probably isn't even enough to really start a mill operation up.
So
But
do you think we're going to see more small? Well, let me back up.
yeah,
There's been a few companies who have bought all the fence suppliers. That have bought
mhm.
all the electrical supply stores, that have bought all the mom and pop plumbing supplies. Do you think we're going to see more and more people, breaking out of that system and saying, "Hey, we're
Yep.
going to open our own small, local, or regional supply house"? You think that's coming?
I absolutely do. I think that's where every one of these industries is going because so why does this happen? Right? Why do national conglomerates, and most of them are hedge fund type situations or investment groups, why are they buying these? Well, what they're hoping is they can control a larger part of the market. Now, I'm sure that they're hoping that they can increase profits by some synergies by, connecting these companies together by buying in massive bulk,
Hmm.
for all these companies together might get them more of a discount. But they're also hoping that, hey, if I have all these companies that are now working together, we can kind of shift the markets around, to
Right.
our benefit.
And
So,
they can make more money spending $300 million buying up a big supply company than they can on interest in the bank. So
yeah,
the money's
well,
they're,
that's
they're
true too.
cash heavy right now. Venture capital is extremely cash heavy.
Yep.
So
Yeah, they need to put money into the market, and so this is where they're putting it into. So, I think this is public knowledge, but so a couple of national suppliers got purchased by a holding company recently, um, and they're going to start closing down. So a lot of these suppliers, this national suppliers, have locations in the same market, right? So there'll be brand A and brand B in the same market. Well, they're going to close one of them, so we don't need competing offices. We'll have one big office.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's bad for the consumer. I really do. I mean, I think we've already seen this. I think this played out over the last couple of years about conglomerates or investment, whatever you want to call them, holding companies buying multiple suppliers and combining them into one is worse for the consumer. I mean,
what
I'm sure it's good for them, but
what do you
worse
think
for the
about
consumer.
scare tactics that they and the pressure they put on the smaller suppliers?
Well, that's the thing is because these price increase notices that get put out into the market come from them. Right
Hmm.
now they'll do it under the guise of, hey, we're just trying to make sure everyone knows. We're trying to give everyone plenty of notice that this price increase is coming. But what what happens at the grocery store when the weather forecaster calls for snow?
Yeah,
Everyone goes and buys bread and milk. It
yep.
doesn't matter if the snow forecast is an inch, it's bread and milk. Get sold out immediately.
That
And that
doesn't
was
make
always a
sense
joke
to me.
growing up. We're like, I wonder if the bread company is like sponsoring this weather forecast.
Yeah,
But it makes you wonder if some of these price increase notices get pushed out when inventory needs to be drawn down.
probably. They
I
want
mean,
power, man, and when you get into the big companies, a lot of people don't understand what a CEO actually is. So when you get into a big company, a CEO is sort of a made up title. It's actually a president of the company, but a board of directors, they own the company, and the CEO reports to them. And when you get into a big corporation, the only job of the CEO is to maximize profits. And if he doesn't maximize profits, they find a new guy,
mhm.
right? So you got to walk the line in that. And
Well,
once,
you've
like
seen that
Ozark
happen. And,
Supply, you guys are going to care about people when you start. You sell stain. You sell our stain right now.
mhm,
When
yep,
somebody gets it, you service them. You help them. You want them to do well, and the better they do, the better you'll do. You both win. When you get to a point where it's all about cutting cost and increasing profits, it's a different dynamic.
yep.
It's no longer the transaction has changed.
Well, I think you see that in the lack of customer service.
Yeah.
That was part of our conversation on this interview, but um, customer service is at an all time low. I think if you were able to track
Yeah,
it on
go
a
to a big
graph,
box store right now and try to ask for help.
no, they'll say, well, we're understaffed, so we can't provide that customer service. Well, what's funny is, so we hired about a month ago. We hired 3 guys. We're going to do another hiring round in another week. So I want to bring on 3 or 4 more, and we will. So the labor market is there. There are plenty of folks wanting to work and wanting to better themselves and find a
Oh, yeah.
career. The labor force is ready, but to your point, customer service does not increase profits. Like, it is not a revenue generating department. So, you see companies, massive companies, for example, Google, YouTube, Facebook, try to find a phone number for a customer service department.
Yep.
I dare you. Like, it's not. We're going through issues right now with the YouTube. So, complete transparency, this YouTube channel hasn't been monetized for the last 2 months because there's a hiccup in the brand account that held this. So the web developer that we were using, the guy that used to host our website, also hosted all of our Google accounts. Well, when we switched to a new web developer, we hired Sam Natello to develop a new website, and it's done great. I love it. But in transferring ownership of the Google account, the brand account, now all of a sudden the YouTube ad partnership doesn't recognize this new brand account. So we can't get monetized. Which, like, let's be honest, like, I am here to help people. However, this costs a tremendous amount of money. We just invested another something like $20,000 on video equipment and audio equipment upgrades, right? Like it would be great if YouTube would help pay for that because they're still running ads on our content. If you watch our
Yeah.
YouTube content, I guarantee you'll see ads on it. But for the last probably 2 months, we haven't seen a dime of that.
Yeah.
And you can like use their feedback tool we have, and with no response, there is no email address that you can send an email to. There's like a generic Google email address, but no one responds to that. There is no customer service. Customer service is absolutely dead. Now, we're continuing to do this because, like I said, the overall mission of this channel is to better our industries, right? So we'll continue doing it. That's fine. But it'd sure be nice if YouTube or Google, so Google owns YouTube. It would be nice if either one of them had some sort of customer service at all,
Right.
But
This is
anyway,
true.
so
I agree.
little rant over, I guess. But customer service is absolutely dead. So I think for those of you watching, I think if you really want to kill it in 2022 and beyond, I think you become obsessed with customer service, with the client experience. Because even on our level, even on the production level, the installation level, the stain seal level, customer service, there's a lot of companies that are following the lead of these national brands and just not offering customer service. It is, I've got this thing. If you want this thing and you talk me into it, I'll come give it to you. I'll come install it, whatever. I think if you're the company that offers outstanding customer service and an incredible client experience, I think you will win all day, every day.
I agree with that.
A little bit of a rant there. I get fired up about this YouTube stuff.
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean,
because they're keeping the money, right? Like it's not a ton, but every little bit helps, right? But anyway, client experience is dead. Especially, we're seeing it with suppliers. I'm sure you, Caleb, I'm sure you see it on your level. So everyone has suppliers, right?
Mhm.
Like everyone up to the top has some supplier. Are you seeing the same thing? Like say for like pigments or buckets or things like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we see it. Yeah, so we see increases every week. Every single week we get a letter, and there's something that's increased. There's something that's increased, and I'm it just blows my mind. We've seen a 700% increase in some of our raw materials,
Dang.
and staining, paints, stains, two by fours. It doesn't matter. Car tires, the price is going up. So part of our conversation needs to be, hey, it is going up. It's probably not coming down. We do need to take another look at our numbers in our fence building or our stain application company or our power wash company, in order to make sure that we still can keep the lights on,
Yeah.
as small business owners. So it's important information.
Well, and to circle back to a conversation we were having, it's why it's also important to have the proper margins, right?
Hmm.
Because these changes can come day to day, right? And if you don't have some set aside for such an occasion, it could really sink you. It
Yeah,
could
for
put you in a
sure.
bad shape.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's a for real situation.
Well, and I think the days of so I think we've all been in this boat on the fencing side. So you'd sell a job and you knew it used to be in the fencing world, you'd get 2 price increases a year. You'd get one in
Mhm.
the summer, one in the winter, or one in the
Yep.
spring,
Yep.
2 a year. And so you knew, hey, if I sell this job, I can go buy the materials in 4 weeks because I'm going to install it in 5 weeks and I'll be in good shape. Anymore, you have to buy those materials the day you get the deposit. So you lock that price in. I think some guys are still getting stung by that. I think they're still waiting to buy their materials after they receive the deposit, and then they get a 8, 10, 12% price increase in between.
Yeah,
Can
raise your
really
hand
sink you.
if that's happened to you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe in the
S
comments, if you've been burnt on a price increase, let us know. Let us know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let us know your guys' thoughts on just kind of price increases in general.
Hey,
Like,
here's
what is your? I think this would be a good conversation actually to have.
yeah.
Is what is your method for combating price increases? Right. What have you found to work? Landmark Creation says, in addition to rising wood prices, I've noticed the quality of the wood is not what it once was, at least here in the Pacific Northwest, and that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, but this right here creates a huge opportunity.
Yep.
They're not grading wood like they used to grade wood.
No.
So you can get a bundle of wood right now, and it's going to have clear cedar in it. It's going to have crap cedar in it, and it's going to have pretty good stuff in it. And one bundle makes 4 bundles,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got these different grades. So if you grade your lumber yourself, you can offer middle of the road wood. You can offer top quality, clear, #1 grade wood, and you can also say, hey, these are scraps. We're going to throw them away anyways. Let's find something to do with them. Let's build lattice, or let's build
Mm-hmm.
post caps or whatever with it. Instead of it throwing on the burn pile, let's find a use. Let's pick it out aside, and we're not putting a crap board on a fence and getting a callback. So
Right.
start thinking about grading your wood, because they're just spitting that stuff out now, and they don't have as much help in the lumber mills. And we're seeing guys that are grading their own wood or making a killing doing it, because they're able
Yep.
to just pull out that really good stuff and offer 2 grades.
Yep. We know a guy that does that, and he does it very well. He'll
Mhm.
order just bundles of wood, then grade it in house. I think there's a tremendous value there. I really
Yeah,
do.
this is working on even stuff that they say is graded. #2 wood, you send me a truckload of #2, well, 30% of it's #1 grade and 4% of it's crap. And, you know, so you've
Yeah,
got
it's
opportunity there.
there used to be a grading term, number two better,
Mhm.
which that's kind of how I view it now. It seems like you're buying. They're going to say, "Hey, listen, it's no worse than number two. Like there's no telling what's in here, but it's no worse than number two." But to your point, you could find some clear and some number one in there as well.
Yeah. If you're doing enough volume, if you're building 2 fences a month, you don't have the supply to do it. You just got to put
Yep.
up what you get. But if you're doing, if you've got truckloads of lumber on your yard, then it would be worth it to have somebody grading your lumber for you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Now
Yep.
you give your
So and
sales team a tool, a very powerful tool, to say, to one, to offer a #1, and to two, hey, what if we just upgrade you to #1? Would that close this deal? And
mhm.
it gives you a couple of things. And then if you got the builder that says, I need it done tomorrow, I don't care what it looks like, we got to do it, we're under a deadline. You say, well, what about this #3 stuff we got sitting right here? We can give you a deal on it. You dump it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Well, and I tell you what, I still remember the actually the dinner that we were all at, or no, it was just a conversation actually in your loft where basically my takeaway from that was he's like, you have to monetize every process, or you have to monetize every step of the process. So
Mhm.
he'll take the junk lumber and he monetizes it. He turns it into a product that then he monetizes. Man, that's interesting. We've always scrapped that before. And I used to get really upset when the coal rate on lumber started getting above a predetermined rate.
Yeah.
I said, man, we're paying more for these boards than what you think we are because we're
Where,
culling
where do
out
you
10% of
Yeah.
them.
Where do you think Hobby Lobby gets all their hobby wood from? They buy it from fence guys. There's a guy in Texas. He sends a truckload out every couple of weeks from hobby. It's tear out fences. Go to Hobby Lobby.
Yep.
He gets pennies for it, but he gets something for it. He doesn't pay dump fees.
Yep.
And Hobby Lobby, it's adding to the economy. So, the thing with trees is, I read the other day that we cut down enough trees every year to go to the moon and back 6 times if you stack them end to end. Think about that for a minute.
Dang.
What
Every
what
year.
what every year, man, what can we do to maybe slow that down a little bit?
That's interesting. Yeah, no kidding. Well, and I think recycling is going to become huge. Like, how can we recycle some of this stuff too? Because you and I both know some of these fences that get ripped out, they're not end of life.
It's the
Like,
post. I mean, every
mhm,
fence we ever tore out when I was a kid was either the post rotted, and worst case scenario, the panels where they touch the ground, there might be a little rot at the bottom of them, but generally
yeah,
you're talking about pretty good lumber that could be
yeah,
repurposed.
yeah. You cut off the bottom 6 inches, and that's a perfectly fine board.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be
Well, and
gray.
and that's also how what if 10,000 fence companies in the United States started doing that? What would
Mhm,
the lumber mills start doing? They'd go, "Man, we better lower our prices. Our profits are down 62% this year.
yeah,
We're gonna have to do something." So,
Well,
That's how we all join hands and fight back a little bit, I think.
this idea is illustrated behind me here. So this is all reclaimed redwood,
Hmm.
right? So this is
Yeah.
all reclaimed redwood fence pickets.
Check this out.
Bingo.
I think there's 75 years of tree in this board right here. This is reclaimed redwood. There's 75 rings in this little bitty sliver of wood. How old do you think that tree was? You know, that was probably a 500-year-old tree when they cut it. Look how tight the grain is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
crazy.
don't see that.
Yeah,
anymore.
you
just
can't
don't.
buy that anymore. It doesn't matter how much money you have, that's endangered. You can't buy it.
Well, so this gentleman saw all the redwood that they're tearing out and said, "Hey, this still has a use. Like, why are we throwing this away? Like, why are we disposing of it? It has more life in it. It has another use case." And just like Caleb showed, it has the 3M tape on the back. Let me tell you about this 3M tape. It is sticky. It is sticky enough to where if you mess up and you pull one of these boards off your wall, it will take drywall with it. I
yeah,
know,
it's
because
the
there's
same
one over
tape.
here that is covering up a missing chunk of drywall because we peeled it off and drywall came with it.
Yeah, that's the same tape that's used for holding the trim on cars.
No kidding. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
it's
It
Tesla
is
tape.
tough stuff. It is
Yeah.
tough stuff for sure. All right, but I think the point here is correct that we're paying more for lower quality. So that conversation hasn't even
Because
really
you
happened.
will. Yeah, because you will.
Because
Yeah.
the consumers have illustrated an ability to pay or a willingness to pay.
So let's exploit it by grading our own lumber.
All right. Brent says, "Good luck tomorrow. Hope your team wins." I'm assuming this is the Chiefs because the Chiefs will win. I mean, there's not really hope to it. I mean, if you've seen the Chiefs play lately, you know that they are the powerhouse of the NFL. Now, I understand Caleb is probably a Tennessee fan. Caleb, is that a correct assumption?
And I like boxing and wrestling. And I don't ever
Okay.
watch football.
Okay. Well, then, okay. This conversation won't go sideways then because I saw this like, he could be a
Yeah.
Titans fan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you don't have to worry about that.
They do
Bam
have
Bam's
the
watching,
Titans have
though.
a
I don't know
very
about
nice
Bam.
stadium.
Yeah.
Caleb and I went to a training there on the Titans facility, so not in the stadium, but there's like a building outside the stadium. Very nice facility. Very nice.
Yeah, I hired those guys, by the way. Petra coach,
Right.
Andy
That's right.
Bailey,
You did tell me that.
hired them, man. We go on
Has
back.
that started yet?
The initial conversations have started, and Joe, it's high level. It is it's scary.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's scary. But it's scary. The challenge is so scary because it's like, hey, can we rise to this occasion? And I think we can because it's for the whole team. So we're
Yep.
excited. I think this is going to really be pivotal, and it's going to be a big deal for us.
I'm excited to see where it takes you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you and I talked about this privately, but I think this is one of those decisions that changes the trajectory of the company.
Hmm.
Right. I really do. I mean, just we were only with this guy for a day for like 6 or 7 hours or something. I couldn't imagine what his implementing his program. It's not he's a coach of the program, but
It's
implementing
mastering the Rockefeller habits is all it is.
sure.
And
Sure.
that's exactly what it is.
Yes, in a 30,000-foot view, that's exactly what it is. But
And it takes people that have done it over and over again to really walk into your organization and say, you're no different. We're going to do this, and here's the steps. And they hold your hand, and that's what it is.
well, it's just like the conversation we were saying that customers are the same in one market to the next to the next. I mean, they're all pretty much the same. They're similar. I think the same could be said for companies. I mean, once you're good at mastering those things, you walk in, you're like, oh, okay, this, and this. Now we just need to figure out what that
They
is.
said you're running the marathon here. We're just the coach on the sidelines with you the whole way. You know, they're in the car beside of you, making sure you get this 100-mile foot race done and coaching you and saying, hey, you're on pace or you're not on pace. And
Yeah.
so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll learn something from it.
I'm excited to see it. I really am. I'm excited to hear back from it because it's that 6 hours I felt was incredibly powerful. So I couldn't imagine implementing it as a whole. All right. Michael says, I'm just going to call him Bam Bam. Like, once you let me know that was his nickname, that just stuck. Like, if you've ever met Michael, That name is solid. Bam Bam. Technical expert assistance. So this is one way we have kind of set ourselves apart in the retail side. So we sell a good amount of retail here. That's how we set ourselves apart from the local home improvement stores. Is you have access to experts, so you could bring us your project drawn out on the back of a napkin with measurements or approximate measurements, and we can
Yep.
get you a materials list. We'll
Yeah,
provide that
for
for
sure.
you because we already do it, right? We already do that on the install side, so it's no different than doing it on the retail side. Good luck finding that at a home improvement store.
They don't have the expertise. Even if
No,
they want to do it, they don't have the expertise. Yeah.
no. So I'll share a story with you. So back it was 08, 09, back during the housing crisis, I took on a second job because the fencing business was not so hot, right? Because we were directly affected by home pricings and new home starts. So I took a second job at Lowe's in the lumber department. Maybe I shouldn't say Lowe's. Gets out of the bag. So in the lumber department, because I'm like, hey, I'm a lumber guy. I know lumber. I'm in, they're like, well, in order to work here, you or work in this department, you have to pass a proficiency test. Okay.
Right.
I think I could do that. Let's do that. Well, Caleb, the proficiency test was watching like a 10-minute video and then answering some very basic questions. And then once you did that, you now pass a proficiency test. And then on that day, I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me the guy that I think is an expert in appliances might have watched a 5-minute video and answered some high level questions. So he's not really like, and I don't want to diminish people that work in these departments, but I think it's laughable when Lowe's says, or home improvement stores in general, say that they have experts in these areas. It's like, well, they're not really, right? Like I had a tremendous amount of knowledge about building materials, but me passing this test was like my 13-year-old. I could probably she could watch this video and pass this test. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, what are the actual dimensions of a 2x4? And then it's like multiple choice, right? It's like, all right, that's the one. But
Yeah,
anyway, so
that's how Home Depot really got so big when they were first coming on, is they hired real contractors to work their stores, and then they started getting so much growth that they were bringing on a store a week, and then they got to where they couldn't find enough people, high level contractors with experience, to work in their stores, and that's why now you walk into Home Depot and there's 500 people standing around and nobody knows
mhm.
what a freaking fence picket is.
No, you can't get help.
Yeah.
You really can't. And like I said, don't even ask for a materials list.
Hmm.
Like if you bring them the exact list of what you need, they could probably tell you which aisle it's on. But anyway, so that's kind of one area that we capitalize on is we have people
Yep,
here that do material lists all the time.
for
So
sure.
bring it by. And I think that's an area that people can excel in. But it used to be that you could do that with these national suppliers, but anymore I don't even know that that's an option. I mean, we send them a material breakdown, if we're pricing an odd job that we don't have materials for, and it could be 2 days before we get that bid back, and I'm telling them exactly what we want with their SKU numbers. So I can't imagine what kind of backlog there'd be if we just drew out a picture with measurements and sent it to them. We might not get anything back. So anyway, Bam Bam is correct. Technical expert assistance. So I mean, guys, this is the thing. If you're watching this, I mean, that is absolutely, again, this goes to customer service and client experience. The people that get this right are the people that I believe will excel over the next 10 years, because this isn't anything that changes overnight. No
Right.
one's none of these national companies are going to change overnight. Uh, because I think it's the path of least resistance. I think they say, hey, we do the same volume of sales whether we do or do not have excellent customer service. So why are we going to invest in that?
It will take time. If everyone unites, I think it'll take time. I really do, and I think it'll come around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see. We will see.
Speaking of the subject, Odyssey Trek says, hey guys, figure eight fencing out of Central Illinois. Hello, welcome. Funny you talk about customer experience. That is and always has been our number one priority. Lots of changes to make it even better for 2022.
Mhm.
These guys get it, or gals. I don't mean to judge. These folks get it, right? So my sister, her title is client experience officer because I want to let everyone know that we are obsessed with client experience. So obsessed, we have someone that their whole job is a client experience. Now, she and I currently disagree that client experience officer is the CEO. I say, well, here's the thing. You're a millennial. You'll get this. The E is actually an X. Like the kids say it's a CXO. You're the CXO. She's like, no. I think I'm the CEO. Like, agree to disagree, I suppose. Ramon said, I had a spreadsheet with all the pricing. So this is talking about how we're combating price increases, right? Or how we're trying to keep up or prepare for them. I had a spreadsheet with all pricing on chain link and vinyl. Now it's impossible to go off of that. That's the thing is you'd have to update these spreadsheets sometimes daily.
Yeah.
Which makes it really hard to bid projects too. When, I mean, it sounds a little bit like nothing against used car salesman, but it sounds a little bit like a used car salesman. This price is good for today and today only. If I walk out that door, I can't guarantee this price. That's not a great feeling. That's not a great sales pitch. Unfortunately, it's kind of true. Like this price is good as of today. Now, we'll hold our prices a little bit longer, sometimes to our detriment, but I mean, it is what it is. Now we can hold prices because we typically have these materials in stock, right? So we can afford to hold the price, but yeah, a spreadsheet updating it, you'd have to update it daily. Landmark Creation says, found some old growth on a fence we tore out last week. It is now out in my shop getting turned into a table. New side hustle, sounds like.
Yep.
Turning old growth into tables. I'd like to see how that ends up. I really would. All right, so Brent's team's going up against Green Bay. That's going to be a tough fight. I think Green Bay is the team to beat. And Bam Bam is a Titans fan. King Henry returns. Okay. Launching into orbit. All right. But just so we're all clear, the Chiefs are the team to beat. So, I mean, we'll just agree to disagree on that also. Ramon says, what are your thoughts about investing in certifications on your employees? OSHA 30, automated gate operators, skid steer, etc. People say it's throwaway money because employees will just leave after. Caleb, what's your thought?
The only thing worse than training your employees is not training them.
Yeah.
I don't know how these certifications work because I'm not in the fence business anymore. But I tell you one thing, skid steer, if you don't train or certify your guy in a skid steer, think of the damage you can do with a skid steer, both to human life and to property. So, and the OSHA 30 thing, I don't know, but automated gate operators, you definitely want your guy installing gate operators to know what he's doing, because if not, nobody wants to get a call at 7 p.m. on Sunday night that they can't get into their gate and you put it in.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I feel like training's important.
Yeah, I mean, there's that saying, right? There's two guys talking, and one guy says, why would I train my employees when they're just going to leave? And then the other guy says, well, what if they don't leave? Then you're left with a company full of uncertified or untrained employees.
I think you just build a fire so big that even your competitors come to stay warm by it. So if your fire's so big and your training and your employees are treated so well that eventually people will start coming to say, hey, if you can get a job there, that's where you want to work. It's kind of like Nashville.
Sure.
Everybody wanted to work at Rio Grande Fence back in the day. And it was like, if you could get a job at Rio because they got a new truck, they got benefits and they can retire from there. So
when I was a kid, it was that not only did they have trucks, but the AC worked.
Yeah. And I guarantee you they train their people. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, understand that now when we're talking about certifications, we're talking about certifications that are from like a third party accreditation company, right? So I think we need to start there, because there are
Well,
some certifications that are purely pay to play, right?
well, the
If
other day we did a job for a battered and abused women's home, and it was a sizable job um, for staining. It was a sizable staining job, and I just Mandy, our service manager's out. She's had her baby, so she's on maternity leave, and so this was my job. I just got the email and I just said, "Hey, would it make you guys feel better if we sent a female liaison on this job? If we did business, would that just make sense?" And a couple people in my company were like, "Do you not trust us?" It's like, well, no, I sold the job because they said absolutely. We were not the cheapest bid. We sold the job because we were sensitive and caring enough to send out the female lady to come out on the job, just because we want these ladies to feel comfortable. And the
yeah,
same thing is true. There's a lot of jobs that if you said, "Hey, our guys are OSHA 30 certified. All of our automated gates come with a certification. Nobody here is going to be running any equipment that's not fully certified to operate it.
yep,
Background checks." You hear the same thing on TV when it's the heating and plumbing company or whatever.
yeah,
So those things, not only, I don't want you to look at it as I'm throwing money away, because no, you're not. Now that's
yeah,
marketing. If you've put all your people through that, that's a huge marketing campaign.
yeah,
The guy down the road, none of
absolutely.
his people are certified. Who's
Right.
running that equipment? What if they run over your kid? Um, all of our employees are certified. That's why
Well, and
you should.
that's the thing, is it's all in how you present it, right?
Yeah.
So to Caleb's point, the way I like to market is, I'd say, hey, when comparing bids, keep in mind that we are X, Y, and Z, and we hold these accreditations, and we feel like that's important, and we feel like you should also feel like that's important,
Yeah.
because it says it without saying it, right? These are important things that you need to compare us to the competing bids, knowing full well those competing bids likely don't have those
Yeah. Well, this
accreditations.
is what we do. This is why we do it. And this is why you should care. I mean,
Well, in OSHA, so the OSHA 30, that's probably, it depends where you're working to, right? So if you're in a if we're in a residential conversation, OSHA doesn't really matter in the residential conversation. A
mhm.
homeowner, you would spend more time explaining what that OSHA 30 card was to a homeowner if they're not in the trades or if they're not in construction, than what it's worth. But if you do commercial work, to Caleb's point, that would absolutely be on my proposal sheet. Is our qualifications include OSHA 30, the what is the certified gate operator, CG, the independent accreditation for gate operators? I would absolutely include that. Our qualifications are this. We believe this is important. We also believe that you feel that like this should be important, or something, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't think it's throwaway money at all for in these examples. Right now, like I said, there are some accreditations where you pay money, you fill out a 20 question multiple choice questionnaire, and then you receive some sort of like certification on that. Not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So
I
both the
agree.
OSHA, the automated gate operator accreditation through the AFA, those are actual accreditations. They're done by a third party independent accreditation organization, right? So the AFA doesn't actually offer those. They offer the training for them, but the testing is done through the third party. Um, Now we're gonna send Sarah. So Sarah's gonna go through the AFA has the new operations certifications. Um, I don't remember it off the top of my head. Maybe somebody could drop it in the comments below. But so the AFA offers a operations, school and accreditation. We're gonna send Sarah through that, and I don't know that we'd necessarily include that in our marketing like that. I don't know if that would really make sense, but we're absolutely going to do that because she could pick up 2 or 3 or 4 tidbits of information that could make us a better company. That can make us more efficient, or anything like that. Um, I don't I I don't believe it's throwaway money. I really don't.
Me neither.
If the employees are going to leave, I mean that's probably a different problem, right? Like that's probably a different problem, different discussion. But I really
Yeah.
believe in investing in training.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's the deal. I think you said it right there.
You
If
said a
your
lot of things
employees are
right
going
there.
to leave, they're going to leave. either
Yeah.
way, probably.
Yeah. And like I say, it's that whole thing. Like, what if I invest in all my people and they leave? It's like, what if they don't? What if they don't leave? Then you're left with a bunch of people that aren't accredited and don't receive training. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think people want to be in a place that invests in them. You know, we invest in our team by doing this, this, and this ongoing education. I mean, Caleb, if you would have talked to a fence guy or stain guy 10 years ago about ongoing education, how do you feel like that conversation would have went?
10 years ago about ongoing continuing education. I've always been into it, man. I've always just fueled myself with as much knowledge as possible. Um, and I think here's been the transition in my life. I've always either I've consumed as much knowledge as I could. I've surrounded myself with smarter people than me. I've belonged to groups, um, of people around me that are into the same thing. And what I have found most recently is that that's great. And but as our organization grows, it's even more important that our team becomes aligned and takes part of that training. So we implemented Better Book Club this year. That was kind of step one,
Yeah.
where everybody is reading books and we pay them to read a book. I don't, at first
Like that.
I didn't like it and we've not figured it out fully yet. But if you read a good book about business, you're going to get $100 for it. Um, and hopefully we build a better person and a better team in the process. And then this new training we were talking about earlier, this new coaching program, we've got 2 coaches. It's a significant executive salary is what it's costing this for 1 year to have them train us. But they're going to coach our whole team.
Mhm.
So basically, for an executive salary, I'm getting a whole team of executives to train my whole team to think and be aligned like executives. So it's a great deal. Most people would say, "Oh, there's no way we're going to spend the money on that." I look at it as there's no way I can get to there if I don't spend the money down here. So
Yep.
yeah, it hurts. I'm not going to go to Cabo this year. Right? I'm not going to get the new Escalade this year, but we're gonna pay for some really good training and coaching, and I think it's extremely important to do it. Obviously, Staining University, where it's all training, I think it's important, man. I think the biggest thing that held my fence company back growing up, our family business, was lack of training.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was kind of where I was going with that. I think 10 years ago, if you had asked like our dads about ongoing continuing education for our guys, it probably wouldn't have gone over very well. You know, it'd be
Yeah,
like, well, they build fence. They can go building fences just the same this year as it was last year. But
yep,
I think the next generation of owners is realizing that investing in your people is one of the best investments you can make as a business owner, because then you're
sure,
surrounded with a team that is better than they were last year.
yep. You got it, man. That's the way it is. So constant growth, incremental growth, the
Right.
Kaizen method, I think they call it. So
Mhm.
it's important.
Nathaniel's got a question. I'm in Canada working only digs 7 to 8 months a year. What should I do with my guys during those off months? What are your thoughts on that, Caleb?
You know, um, make enough money in those months that you can obviously operate your lifestyle. I mean, we see that in the staining business. We see guys that have a 6 month season that they have to make enough money in 6 months to run all year long. Some companies put their people on unemployment or lay them off during that off time. We don't do that here. We've like the whole month of January, we've not really done much. We've done some work orders. This is what we've done so far this month. Work orders I got to put in the system. But normally that stack would be a lot bigger than that. So,
Sure.
so what are we doing in that off time? We're fine. We're freaking. I always like to use the analogy like the Spartans. We're making new shields. We're building new spears. We're making arrows. We're
Mhm.
sharpening our sword. We're so I think some of that time should be to rebuild your equipment, repair your stuff, maybe do some training, maybe look at your processes. I mean,
Well, that's what I
it's
was going to say. It would be a great time to train up for next year.
exactly. Look at where you spend most of your wheels. Look at where you lost money. Look at where you made the most money. If you're a fence guy and you said, you know what, we built $50,000 worth of premium, just the top of the line cedar fences, decorative last year, and we made, a 30%, when we were said and done, which equaled to 25,000 bucks clear money on that. But it took such and such amount of time. And then you say, but we built, um, you know, way more of this basic. You do this plain Jane, one style. You can only get one fence from us. You can get any fence from us as long as it's this fence. And you made way more money. You had less headaches.
Mhm.
It's not flashy.
Yeah,
Maybe it's time that you look at those things and figure out, hey, we really do best on this type of project. This is what we're good at. This is, you can't get a hot dog at McDonald's. So if you can
yeah,
figure that out,
yeah,
that's perfect thing to do during that downtime. And then you can explain it to your team. Hey, here's why we're doing this. Here's what we're best at. I read somewhere that the one thing that separates Olympic athletes and people who are the greatest in the world at the thing that they do is when they when, for instance, they go to, let's say it's I don't know, Michael Jordan, and he's the best at whatever he's the best at. When he's done with it, he just finishes the championship game. He goes and he practices what he's best at. Not necessarily what he messed up on. They practice that too, but they spend the
sure.
most time practicing on what they're the best at. So I don't know, maybe something to think about.
Yeah. So I mean, every business is different, right? So I
Yeah,
can tell you what we do, and then maybe you can glean some off of that. But so like the fabrication shop right now is focused on. Now they're still busy, but they're slower than they would be in the summer. So we've got one guy that's focusing on standard sized gates. So 4x4 chain link gates, 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide, for a 4 foot opening. Um, 4x5s, 6x4s, 6x5 gates. We're just going to make a ton of them. 2.5 inch center plated posts. We use those a lot. 3 inch center plated posts. Use those a lot. We're just going to start cranking those out. And we're going to have a stockpile of stuff that we know we're going to need next year or this year, but that also doesn't go bad, right? A 3 inch center plated post is going to be the same post today as it is in 3 months when we need it.
you're right.
Uh, we're just working ahead. We know we're going to need these certain things. So we're just going to build a ton of them right now, stockpile them so that when we do need them, you just go grab them from the stack. And the price we pay for these things today is going to be less than the price we would pay for them in 6 months or something like that.
Well, man, what do the Army Rangers do when they're not at war? They're practicing to go to war.
Practicing to be at war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing is, I mean, like I said, Nathaniel, every business is different, but I would spend a few of those months just really working ahead. Like what are the 6 things you use all the time? Right. So yeah, every business is different. So you need to look at your books and figure out. But we realize we use 4x4, 4x5, 6x4, 6x5 chain link gates a lot. So we're building them. Same thing with center plated posts. We use a lot of them. We're going to build them. We're going to build about half of what we would usually use in a year. Right. So we're not going to sit on a massive stockpile, but we're going to pre-build half of what we're going to use or what we're forecasting we're going to use so that we can keep working ahead. So, because it never fails, right when you need that 6x4 gate is the busiest time in the fabrication shop. Or they're going to have to stop some other project to knock that gate out. Let's just go ahead and knock it out now.
You got
It's
it.
also obviously in our case, it's also going to serve the retail business that we've got gates ready to go. That's we've got a fabrication shop, but we can build a custom gate if you need us to. But the conversation generally goes, we've also got these pre-made gates, that sort of thing. But
You
that's what
got
we
it,
do.
man.
I mean, there's guys that do Christmas lights. That's a thing. Or there's some guys that push snow. That's a thing. I mean, it really is dependent. But I think Caleb's first point is the best point. So if you know that you operate your business 8 months a year, I think you factor all that into your pricing. I think you factor your pricing, your overhead over 8 months instead of 12 months, when you're
Yeah.
figuring out what your overhead costs on building this fence is. So then you've got those off months paid for. Um,
Well, everybody in your market's fighting the same fight. So, I
mhm,
mean,
mhm.
it's not like you're going to be the only one doing it. So,
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's so many different things to do in the off season. I rather than branch into something new though, so rather than branch into Christmas lights or pushing snow or whatever, I'd first take a look at what you can do to work ahead for the next year. And we actually prefer to hire in the winter. Now that's counterintuitive, but it does a couple things. One, typically our competitors aren't hiring in the wintertime, so it gives us a little bit of an edge. There's less competition in the labor market. But it also lets us train up all of our team members ahead of time so that when springtime comes, we can hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Right. So we would spend that 3 or 4 months hiring and training, knowing that our payroll carrying costs are going to be inflated for the winter. But when the spring comes, when everyone else is trying to hire, our team's already on the ground ready to move. So
I agree,
hope that
man.
helps.
That's on the right path.
Well, guys, we got 5 minutes left. If you've got a question, a comment, or anything else, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to be able to help with that. Caleb, what haven't we talked about? What's on your mind? Anything we haven't covered?
We've not covered any conspiracy theories, anything like that. So we've done well.
Yeah,
Let's talk about this. What does 2022 look like for your channel, man? What's coming?
that's an interesting question. So we've got some changes coming to the business. We are toying with a new a new theme to the channel. Maybe a new, what do we call these? I'm a fence guy trying to use YouTube, so I don't know all the YouTube terms, but basically a different feel to the channel. So rather than me sitting and recording content, whether it be review videos or answering question videos, that sort of thing, we're in the field. Instead of doing just static recording, we're kind of exploring the idea of going with more of a free flowing form of content. More of I hesitate to use the word reality show because I think we all know reality shows are not based in reality; they're drama
Yeah,
shows. Um, but this is more of an actual reality show where show kind of what the day to day business looks like. So the Saturday, so like today's video is a reaction video to actually I enjoyed watching this one. It's a guy that builds welded pipe fence. He's a pipeline welder, but he also welds pipe fence, and I geeked out on some of his tools. But so rather than this today's upload be just a reaction video, it would be like a week in review. What happened this week in my life at this company,
yeah,
where we'll have a videographer basically just kind of follow us around and give maybe more of an inside look into what running the business looks like. And then during that, one of those days, because Caleb, as you know, like it's not all production, right? So
yeah,
also Jeremy would say, hey, if you've got some downtime this week, why don't you ask the 5 mistakes not to make when choosing a contractor?
yeah.
Recent video we did that I've got the outline here for, but why don't you sit down and answer that? So we'll still answer content like that, or we'll still create content like that, but it will be wrapped in a behind the scenes look of running the business. Like I said, we're looking into a new business venture, so I think it would be interesting, similar to Mark Olson's channel, right? Like I want to be completely transparent. I understand he's already doing that, but what it looks like. This isn't another fence company though, so it'd be
Well,
a
yeah.
different thing.
So I like what you're doing. We've been thinking about the same thing. We've found that the best content, our most engagement for our channel is we're doing a meeting, a company meeting right now, and I just take a picture and say, "Hey, we're doing a meeting. This is
Yep.
what we're talking about, and this is why it's important for us. And maybe you should consider doing it." We get the most people want to see that, and I think because people are trying to figure out. I think people try to. I think from the sidelines that maybe if you're a small business, you look at the bigger business, and everybody's talking about systems and processes, and what most people think that is software. Oh, when you get to the big level, you can afford this $1 million software to do this, or these people that are special people. It's not. The biggest companies I go to they're doing stuff on Google spreadsheets, and they're
Yep.
just it's humans that are doing the work. But they found out that if they write it down and set a process that it works. So I think people do need to see exactly what you're talking about. I think that's going to be big for your channel.
I think so. I think so. Now it also means we're not probably. We're going to have to hire an editor. So I have so Jeremy, our producer, does the pre-editing, and then we've got Will behind the scenes that does like the editing that you guys see at the finished editing. But this is going to be taking a week worth of recording and condensing it down into 45 minutes or something. So
we hired an editor, a film editor, and we have found really good luck with hiring people that are in university,
okay,
that are either in film school or have recently graduated,
okay,
and who also are in the college's ministry program. Not going to be
interesting.
a
Okay,
minister. They
yeah,
just participate heavily. And, most of with our business, we send out Bibles. And I mean, that's the kind of company we are. And
yeah,
we have found that hiring those type of people, we, they're just good people, right? So
works out,
you might
works
look
out.
at finding a film student or a recently graduated film student
Mm-hmm.
to do your editing, because that's who does ours, and it's well. And I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about the ethics or the morality or the integrity, because I know I'm dealing with somebody who's already got those boxes checked.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate that guidance because that's kind of where we're at. Is we're gonna have to do that, and then we're gonna have to figure out what that looks like, right? So we're watching channels right now. I watch some watch channels where the three of them all pretty much do this weekend a lot. One of them does day in the life, so he has a video every day. He has an upload every day on what he did, and I think it's like 2 days behind or something. We're not doing that, but weekly uploads on what
Whose
happens.
channel is that you're talking about?
So, all right, let's see. YouTube. I know his name, but I don't know if that's the channel name. If that makes sense. Anthony.
I'm looking at one guy. Apparently, the day in the life channels or videos are popular.
Yes, they are. This guy is Anthony Farrer, Farrer. Um, Now, understand when you watch his content, I watch it for the content appeal. I'm not. Our businesses are not run the same. But
This is a guy that does like watches and fancy cars.
yep,
Okay.
yep. He sells Rolexes, Audemars Piguet, Royal. That he sells really high end watches.
Okay.
But I tell you the one that I like watching him and his. So that Anthony Farrer, he's the one that does daily uploads. So he
Yeah,
has
that's
he has
what
an
I just
editing team.
described. I'll check him out.
But here's one for you to check out because I like his channel and I like his business. It's Roman Scharf. Last name is Sharf. Roman, like the Romans.
All right.
So he is an immigrant, and he very much still. So they do. I forget what he says. I think they do $10 or $20 million a year. But or no, he doesn't. He said this. He wants to become $100 million company,
Okay.
but he still very much has that immigrant mentality of keep your head down, work hard, do what you
Yeah,
say you're going to do. You know what I mean?
I like it.
I like his channel a lot. So when we hire somebody, it's literally going to be watch this and emulate this. That's what we're kind of going for because it shows Roman. So Roman owns the company, but it also follows his key performers, right? So there's a guy that does the buys. There's several people that do the sales. There's a couple guys that do jewelry, that sort of thing. So year one is following me around probably, which I'm going to start warming everyone else here up to. Year two would likely be kind of following around our key performers here. Sarah, my dad,
Gotcha.
Matt out in the fabrication shop, that sort of thing. But that's the idea here. So we're currently in the find an editor phase. So your advice is very timely, Caleb. We'll certainly look into we've got a couple universities here that have digital video type programs. But once we get them hired on and get them kind of trained in what that looks like, then yeah, we'll
Awesome, man.
You'll start seeing more changes on the channel. So
Here's what me and you need to go do. We've been talking about this for a while, but we need to have that conversation. What it's because this will help fence guys and stain guys. What does the conversation look like, and what are the benefits for you and for me? Um, if you're a fence guy who needs someone to stain their fences, what's the benefit? And if you're a stain guy who needs to find that fence contractor to start following around town and doing the work,
yeah,
behind them, what does that conversation sound like? How does it go? And why you should be open to it and think about it. And I think we've been talking about that for a few months. Let's get that
yeah.
one scheduled and do that one because that's
Well,
beneficial.
yeah, I like that a lot. So I'll probably, not probably, I will be bringing like my video and audio gear to this
Yeah.
university. So if we have a chance to sit down and kind of riff on stuff like that, I
I
will
tell
be
you what would
prepared
be
for it.
cool is if we did a role play at the beginning. The beginning of the video is I pick up the phone, I'm making a cold call to a fence
Yeah,
contractor. You pick it up, you just give me the business, man. Give it to me like for real. And I don't want it
yeah,
to become a sales training thing, but more
right.
of a um maybe something to shed light on why staining, why having a fence stain contractor would be important, and why for stain contractors why you should make friends with the fence contractors. Why
Yep.
is that important?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, adding stain to as Ozark Fence, adding stain to our selection of services has helped tremendously because, and we'll get. I mean, this is kind of the conversation. I'm sure where this conversation is going to go, but as offering stain, we'll get on site and realize that we can stain this fence, but it's about done, right? That it's about a year away from needing replaced, right? So maybe we can do some repairs while we're here. Maybe we can do this and that. Yeah. So I agree. I think that would be a great benefit. Why fence builders and stain contractors should know each other.
For sure.
Sure. All right.
I
Looks
love it.
like we got this is probably you guys' YouTube channel. So Stain and Seal Experts also has a YouTube channel that
Awesome.
everyone
Yeah.
should check out.
Yeah, please do. Please like and subscribe to our channel. It would mean the world to me. And we try to do similar content,
Yeah.
and we try to train. Most of our videos are try to be educational with them. And we put something out funny every once in a while too. So
Well, I'll be honest, that's what got me into staining. Now, this is several years ago now, but I had someone tag me in one of your videos in the Facebook group. So I joined the group and I was like, man, this guy's giving away all this information for free. He's showing me exactly how to stain a fence and how not to stain a fence, which is arguably more important than how to stain a fence. Yeah. So, guys, if you're a fence guy or gal out there and you've considered staining, as a fence guy, I fully encourage it. I think it's another great tool to have in your tool belt. But follow Caleb's channel. They do. I like them as a company. I like Caleb and Ashley. I like all the people, but Caleb and Ashley,
yeah,
I really enjoy being friends with them for
yeah,
sure.
we got a great team of folks.
So we've got a couple suggestions here on channels that I will check out. So Victory Outdoor Services, okay, and the Perkins Builder Brothers. Very good. I'm always interested to see how other people are doing YouTube channels because I feel like YouTube channels are a lot like businesses. Like everyone's trying to figure it out, right, and get better with it. So I will absolutely
Yeah,
check those out.
that's what I'm getting them right now.
And then Al Martins is with us. Makes total sense on why fencers and stainers should get to know each other. Al, how
Yeah,
are you? So you guys probably recognize the name. Al was on the channel. Gosh, it's been probably 6 months ago now. Al's one of these people that quite literally knows everything about just about everything. He's a highly intelligent guy. I love our conversations for sure. Well, guys, per usual, we're a little bit over time, but I think these conversations are worthwhile. I think they're important to be having. So it's always worthwhile to spend a little bit extra time chatting. If you guys would like to be involved in more conversations like this is exactly what goes on, similar to what goes on at the training event in Nashville next month. It's
yeah,
more guys like Caleb and I kind of sitting around chatting, trying to help everybody else out. So if you think this is important. If you think that this is worthwhile, click the link. Ashley has shared it in the chat. It's also available in the description on the YouTube page. It's the first comment on the Facebook page or on the Facebook post where you're watching this now.
Yep.
So,
and if you can't remember anything, remember stainingsuniversity.com. You can find it there too.
bingo. There you go. You can find it no matter how you look for it. But I hope to see you guys there. I am super excited for it. Next week's guest will be the winner of the trip down to I should know this. I don't know. I don't actually remember what we're calling this contest, but where we're going to fly someone in to do a full day of training with me and the team. Excited to see Kevin down here next week, not tomorrow, next week. But he will be next week's guest. So, and then we will be with Caleb at Fence Tech first, and then Staining University directly after.
Awesome, good deal. Cliff Richardson, good morning.
Oh yeah, let's see. Hello, Cliff. Cliff actually, Cliff's with Stain Track. So if you guys watch the videos I did of the staining machine, that's Cliff. And he's actually getting ready to send some equipment your way, Caleb.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can't wait to work with those guys.
They're going to pick it up here and take it there. So the one that has been made famous in the videos will be headed your way, Caleb. He gave me a new pump when I was over in Tulsa. They're going to put on it and send it your way.
You got it, man. I can't wait. Looking forward to
DC
it.
says, good show. Enjoyed the vendor talk. Very welcome. Always happy to help. So, okay, Caleb, you got anything else to add or subtract or multiply?
I loved it. It was great. We'll see you guys at Fence Tech. We'll see you at the International Builders Show, the North American Fence Contractors Association show. We're going to be at the Washmart event in Houston. All of these are doing staining and wood, professional wood care demonstrations and training. And we will see you at Staining University to finish it all up. So we got a busy couple of months coming up. Look forward to seeing all of you.
You're on the road for the next little bit.
Yeah, I just got back from California and Florida, so we're just checking them all off, getting them done.
I love it. Well, guys, can't wait to see you guys. I'm not as busy as Caleb. One day maybe, but I'll be at Fence Tech. Actually, so let's talk about this. So I will be doing a meet and greet at the experts at your guys' booth, Stainless Experts booth.
Yes,
so
sir.
We're doing that Thursday of the show. Is that right?
I believe so. We're going to do it every day. So we got a big booth this year. We got a big booth right off the main aisle, and we're going to be right next to the Fence Armor booth. So,
very good.
Yeah, I know Mr. Fence, some of their guys are going to be close by too. So it'll be good. And then Kasuric Distributor is going to be there too. It looks like in booth 1621. So we're going to have a lot of friends at the show and should spend time talking with all of them.
Nice. We'll have all the Fence fam together. But I believe it's Thursday at noon. I'll be posting an update both on the Facebook channel and the YouTube channel on exactly the day and time that we're doing the meet and greets. But we're going to be doing it at the Stainless Steel Experts booth. I believe it's Thursday at noon. So
that's it.
Can't wait to see you guys there.
All right, man. Joe,
well, guys, for now, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. And I'll see you next week.
See you.